right. What's up, everybody? Gonna be a good show tonight. We're gonna go until around 11 p.m. Eastern until after hours starts. So until then, we'll cover what has really developed of the news. Not much has really come about, and so that's why I decided to not really jump on yesterday, as well as the fact that my schedule calls for me to be live only twice a week, and I've been live every day this week except Thursday. Nah, I'm kidding. It's been a good week of streaming. I've been pretty consistent, and so hopefully a lot of you have been enjoying that. But we'll get into some of the speculation I have, at least I can say, for these peace talks that will take place tomorrow in Pakistan, Islamabad to be specific, at around 10 a.m. Eastern time, or 10 a.m. Washington time, if I remember correctly. During the press briefing a couple days ago, Caroline Leavitt, in the White House press secretary, had said officially that the talks would take place on Saturday at 10 a.m. Before that, we had thought it was Friday, but it seems like the U.S. envoy has now arrived, or they're just arriving now. And the Iranian delegation of Mohammad Gharibaf and Abbas Araghchi, one being the parliament speaker and then Abbas Araghchi being the Minister of Foreign Affairs, have now made it. And there's a photo that just came out. So we're going to see what's going on. We're going to see the 10-point plan that Iran had proposed, the 15-point plan that the United States had always proposed since the end of March, and see if they can meet in the middle. My prediction, unfortunately, I don't know if they'll be able to meet each other in the middle, because both sides are really making maximalist demands. Obviously, Iran wants a guarantee of protection, a guarantee of safety. They don't want some sort of ceasefire. They don't want to walk away from this negotiation and give themselves another 15 days, another 30 days. They'd rather not extend it, because the last time they did that, if you remember correctly, the United States was exercising extreme brinksmanship in the region. We had so many amphibious vessels there at the end, or really the middle of February, until we struck on February 28th, and we were in and out of talks with the Iranian delegation, and our Middle Eastern envoy, being that of Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner, were meeting the Iranian delegation in Oman, and then, of course, Geneva. And in the midst of these talks, I think we had about 2 or 3 meetings, and then we struck out of nowhere on the 28th of February, really to start the month of March. And now it's been about 40 plus days at technically war, although currently it's a ceasefire. So this is a ceasefire that's currently taking place, but we have to get to the next step, which is peace talks. So we've arrived there effectively, and now we have to make peace. The ceasefire is just a pause, right? So things can resume at any time, and it's likely that things will resume, and we'll get into why in detail. But to kind of braze over it, I think things are going to resume because Israel is exacerbating the issue right now quite heavily in Lebanon and now Gaza. If you haven't been paying attention, and this just came out like 10 minutes ago actually, but out of Warfare Analysis and some other credible people on X like Dropsite, I'm seeing that Gaza was just hit pretty hard, harder than it's been hit in the last few weeks during this conflict. And of course, one can make 2 conclusions from this. This is either Israel trying to undermine the deal and make it difficult for the United States and Iran to reach some sort of proposal. That's what the logical person would think. But this can also be due to the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is being prosecuted in Israel, and he could potentially lose his leadership, or at least his leadership is under threat. And so maybe this is a move for him to try and extend his leadership duration, try to maintain his power for as long as he can. And so he'll do anything to make sure that Israel is always in a state of emergency to earn himself leadership over the country for as long as he can. Pretty problematic, pretty dangerous, but those are kind of the 2 theories. I think both are true. I think they're not mutually exclusive. I think they both exist simultaneously. So I'm getting different reports from different people. Everybody's got their own speculations as to why Israel's doing what they're doing, but in essence, of course, they don't want this deal to really happen. Their goal is to topple the Iranian regime. This is Israel's this is Israel's war. And that's in the famous words of Charlie Kirk. I didn't say that. Take it from the biggest Christian Zionist the United States has seen in the last 10 years that had influence over the Zoomer generation, or Gen Z. So don't take it from me. Take it from Kirk, the late Kirk, who passed away in September. So I'll read this article here. Iranian delegation arrives at peace talks with Vance en route. So, and of course, the United States has the team of negotiators consisting or comprised of J.D. Vance, Stephen Witkoff, and Jared Kushner Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner had always met with the Iranians in regards to peace talks, and they're the Middle Eastern envoy. They always meet in places like Qatar, which Israel bombed to try and kill a Hamas official, and they failed. Then Saudi Arabia got really scared and created an alliance with Pakistan, but let me not go off on a tangent. And so that's been the constant Middle Eastern envoy. Obviously, they're not skilled, right? Because we still started a war. But there's something that concerns me, and I guess I'll say it. I'll save it for after the article, but I'll tell you guys why I don't think, obviously for everything that's front-facing and obvious, right? Why won't this ceasefire actually last, and why are we going to resume war? I mean, you can make 100 different reasons as to why that's likely, but I have a reason I haven't seen anybody actually go into detail about as to why I think there's something different here about bad faith from the United States. And I'll go into what I mean, really. The whole J.D. Vance thing is rubbing me the wrong way, but really the fact that there's been no condemnation from Washington. So I'll explain to you what I mean and why it's rubbing me the wrong way as to the fact that this is probably not going to be long-lived. This will all be for nothing, I'd imagine. And even if these peace talks tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow morning, take place and they're successful to some degree, and so the United States and Iran can climb to another stage of negotiation, and so that will, of course, prolong the ceasefire. I don't think that it will last for months. I think that it will resume, and I'll tell you why. But we'll read the article. We'll get into everything like that. So, like the video if you're here early, and I'll get this rolling for you guys, and we'll get shaken. Okay. All right. So this is out of the New York Times about 40 minutes ago. You guys want to read it with me? I'll pull it up with you guys. You could read this with me. Where's the chat? Why is the chat not on the screen, dude? 1 second. Let me get this working. Gotta love OBS. OBS is so glitchy sometimes. All right. Let's see if the chat pops up. Come on. Not working here either. 1 second, guys. Let me just try and fix this. Bear with me a moment. Let's see. Oh, I want the chat to work on the damn screen. Refresh. Crazy. All right, maybe we just won't have chat on screen tonight. Although I like it to be on the screen. Want to make sure your guys' chats is being seen. Yeah, OBS crashed before I actually went live. So that's why it took me a second to actually get on. Toppling that with the fact that I'm actually just black. So, you know, nigga's gonna be late. What the hell? I guess I can't get the chat on screen. Yeah. But we'll read this article. Before we get into it, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can fix this. I want the chat to work. We want a high quality show, okay? Don't cry. Give me a moment. We want a good quality show. I want to make sure all of you guys are heard and felt. Important piece there. Streamlabs, bro. It's not me. It's Streamlabs, bro. What the hell? You know? In the meantime, if you have a chat, send it in. I'll read it. And I'm going to get text-to-speech chats. So you know when people chat in and it's actually reading the chat out loud? I'll set that up. I got to have a price limit on that, though. There's no price limit on the chats here, but there is, you know, I can't have you guys being able to chat in for like $1 and somebody just says something stupid. So I've got to have like maybe like $20, $10, nothing crazy. But I do want to add that feature to the show. I'm trying to upgrade, you know. We will be, is it too premature for me to say this? Who cares? I'll say it. So I'm going to have a new setup soon. You know, I'm in the bedroom. Bed is right behind me. I don't like this. Okay, this is not the most ideal setup. it'd be better if I was like, you know, in a studio. And of course, you know, I'm new to the game, so it doesn't have to be perfect. That's not what I'm saying, but the bed is really just, it throws me off. But, you know, we got the sign. Shout out to my boy for the sign. We got the lights in the back, you know. Shout out to TPC. So it doesn't look too bad. We got a new camera. So I think it's a decent quality show. Got the good mic, you know. I think the audio is fine, although people still famously complain about the audio. No matter what you do with the audio, there's always an audio issue. I think it's really just a cheap headphone problem. But, you know, we will probably be moving. I think I'm going to move out of this apartment and go into a new one around June-ish. My lease is running out. And so I don't know if I want to re-sign. I'll go somewhere else. And in this new apartment, hopefully you guys will have a better view, or, you know, you'll have a better view behind me. The backdrop will be a little bit more appropriate, I guess one can say. So we're setting it up. We're getting everything rolling, man. We're upgrading the show. Okay. I'm like my brother. I like things to be nice. You know, I was streaming from a webcam for like 2 weeks, and I was like, yeah, this can't happen. It was looking like GTA. So I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't do that. But anyways, all right, let's get into the news. I can't get the chat on the screen. Sorry, I tried. Okay. So this is out of the New York Times. This was about 40 minutes ago, surprisingly. So pretty fresh. And I don't know if anything else has developed since, but we'll know as we continue on with the stream. Let me get this nice and big for y'all. Pause. Okay. All right. So, of course, this reads, the updates of the war, Iranian delegation arrives at peace talks with Vance en route. So this is just a brief overview if you've been under a rock the last few days. But here's the latest. So this is by Tyler Pager. It says, an Iranian delegation led by Parliament Speaker Mohammad Ghalibaf and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Pakistan's capital for peace talks with the United States. Iranian state media reported on Friday, as the warring governments angled for leverage in the negotiations. Here's actually the photo that just dropped. So we have the delegation here. I'm not going to lie. Don't call me a jihadi. It's kind of aura. I'm like, don't shoot the messenger, nigga. Okay? These niggas low-key have aura. I mean, could you imagine? You just got out of a fight with the United States and Israel. Two very formidable militaries, one being the strongest in the world by far, stronger than the next 5 combined. And of course, yeah, I know a lot of the military leadership is destroyed, and so Tehran is flattened to the ground in some places. But I mean, the United States had to back out because we weren't actually covering any ground. If you've been paying attention, the F-15 jet that was shot down was actually a failed CIA operation that was going to make the first step available or open the door for a ground invasion. It was an attempt to seize uranium, and then who knew what would follow from that? There's 50,000 troops in the region for a reason. And so you got these niggas just on the tarmac, walking the red carpet, ready to have peace talks. It's kind of aura, all right? So this is Abbas Araghchi. This is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and then this is the Parliament Speaker, Mohammad Ghalibaf. And, of course, both of them have been very vocal throughout the entirety of this conflict. But I ain't gonna lie, this shit tough. This shit is tough. You can't tell me this is not tough. Come on. It's pretty... That shit hard. Okay. Because I know I got a lot of patriots in here. And I still have like some MAGA guys who are like, they get so mad when I rip on Trump. They get mad at me and my brother. You know, Alex Jones is actually coming around. We're going to play his reaction to Trump's Truth Social meltdown. By the way, did you see that? Trump went crazy on Truth Social. We'll read it. Don't worry. That's going to be fun. We'll read that. But I mean, you know, you just got out of a war for 40 days with the United States, and there they are, unfazed. There they are, just walking. Like, you could tell they're about no bullshit, bro. Straight business. Kind of aura, all right? I know, I'm done with the glaze, but the IRGC's got aura, okay? Somebody's got to say it. They have aura. That doesn't mean I support them. Anyways, all right. We get distracted so easily, bro. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, okay. Lock in. So they arrived in Pakistan, whatever. The U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance was traveling to Islamabad, as were President Trump's special envoy, as you guys know, Stephen Witkoff, and his son-in-law, President's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to represent the White House in the talks. Much is at stake. The war has gone on for almost 6 weeks, killing thousands, devastating Iran and Lebanon, driving up fuel costs, damaging the world economy, and destabilizing the Middle East. A return to hostilities could have ramifications for years in the region and affect President Trump's political standing at home ahead of the midterm elections. It already has. The announcement that the Iranians had arrived came only hours after Mr. Ghalibaf, who is one of the key figures overseeing the war, cast doubt on the talks even taking place. So if you guys weren't paying attention, he was posting on X that he's not even sure if he's going to go because of the ongoing strikes in Lebanon from Israel. Again, Israel trying to undermine this peace talk in any way they can, obviously. He demanded the release of unspecified, quote, blocked assets belonging to Iran before negotiations begin. I'm not really too sure as to what he's referring to there, I'll be honest. It goes on to read, over the last 3 days, the two sides have disagreed about whether the war in Lebanon is covered by the temporary truce announced on Tuesday and whether Iran has honored its promise to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to all ships. Only a small number of ships a day are passing through currently. We reported the other day at around Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember what day it was, that only 4 ships had passed through the Strait of Hormuz just after that ceasefire took place on Monday via Trump's Truth Social post at around 7 or 6 p.m. Eastern. And of the 4 ships, they were all dry. None had oil. That's what I was reading in the news. However, now at this point, maybe a couple oil vessels have passed through, which is good news. But again, that's not going to actually remedy the issue. It needs to fully open up. It's a 21-mile passageway. It's very tight. Okay, so it keeps going here. President Trump suggested on social media that Iran was overplaying its hand ahead of the talks. The Iranians don't seem to realize they have no cards other than the short-term extortion of the world by using international waterways, he wrote, referring to Iran's continued control of the Strait of Hormuz. Despite a request from Mr. Trump to scale back its assault on Lebanon, Israel on Friday kept up its airstrikes in the southern part of the country, aiming at targets it said were related to Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militant group. The continuing war in Lebanon has exposed significant differences between the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has said all of Israel's goals still have not been met. Yeah, we know that for sure. And Mr. Trump, who appears eager to make a deal with Iran to end the war and its damaging economic fallout. Continues on here to read, Mr. Vance struck an optimistic but cautious tone as he left for the talks in Islamabad. I think things are going to be positive, he told reporters, but he warned that if the Iranians are going to try to play us, then they're going to find out that the negotiating team is not that receptive. All right? Way to say you're going to talk in bad faith. One priority for Mr. Vance will be the full reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, a vital shipping passage for oil and gas that Iran has in effect blockaded since the war started. Iran's military signaled on Friday that it would maintain control of the passageway, saying in a statement carried out by Iranian state media that it would, quote, not give up our legitimate rights in any way. So that's a little bit of an overview. Something funny in this article that really strikes me as contradictory is Donald Trump is suggesting that the Iranians don't seem to they have no cards, or they don't realize they have no cards. They're just extorting the world by blocking this 21-mile passageway responsible for 1/5 of the world's oil, 20%. And then J.D. Vance is also telling the media the biggest crux of this peace talk is the fact that they must open up the Strait of Hormuz. So Trump is like undermining the fact that they're weaponizing the Strait of Hormuz, but this is J.D. Vance's top priority, dumbass. And the reason why is because they have been economically destroying the United States. I haven't checked crude oil in the last day, but last time I checked, it was hovering somewhere in the range of $100. And of course, gas prices have shot up and groceries have followed. Things are up in price across the board, really, in the United States. And so the Americans are starting to feel it. Of course, this war has got mainstream coverage from all the big outlets like CNN, Fox News, ABC, and all the others. But, you know, of course, this is damage control. Trump is trying to undermine the fact that their control of the strait is not remarkable, or it's not something to pay attention to, when it's actually everything to pay attention to. That's why it's the biggest thing that J.D. Vance is going to bring up during these peace talks. However, can we get Iran to open up the strait? Because right now it's closed, and right now they're taxing ships if they do pass through, and so it's effectively closed for all intents and purposes. Remember, all of these Gulf countries, Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, they export a lot of their oil, not only through pipelines on the land, but through that Strait of Hormuz. About 80% of the Gulf's oil that goes through that ocean, or 80% of the oil that goes through that passageway, belongs to the Gulf. And a lot of countries receive that oil, like countries in Asia and Europe and other places. And so, you know, it does matter. And we're trying to act like it doesn't matter. And this critical passageway, the only binding factor that will determine whether it's open or not is peace in the region. obviously. Trump said on Monday during a Truth Social post, and I went live and covered it, he said, we reached an agreement, and he said that Israel and Iran is to agree. And then a statement came out an hour later that they had agreed to the plan or the terms. And Trump said in the Truth Social post, I'll show you in a moment, he said that the 10-point plan that Iran had proposed will be a foundation from which we, the United States and Washington, will work from. And so in that 10-point plan proposed a ceasefire in Lebanon. Iran's militant group, their strongest militant group, that being Hezbollah in south of Lebanon, is present there. And so Israel has been striking the shit out of it after Donald Trump said there will be a ceasefire and we will agree to work from this 10-point plan. And so that's kind of arbitrary, right? What does that mean? This is what I take from it. Of course, everything in that plan is up for debate, and that's why there's going to be peace talks. You would think, though, that the condition that could be met right away is at least stopping strikes in Lebanon, right? That's probably the easiest thing to do. Iran may ask for reparations. Iran is probably asking to make money off the Strait of Hormuz. They're probably asking to let go of their nuclear talks, or they don't want to give up their nuclear assets. They don't want to give up their enrichment. They don't want to drop their enrichment. They don't want to give up their missiles program. And so all that is kind of tough for the United States to deal with. And I understand that. I'm being gracious. But one thing that we can nip in the butt right away is the ceasefire. Hey, they want a ceasefire. Okay, we will cease fire. And people can't say, well, Israel's its own entity. The United States and Israel is conjoined in this war. You don't see U.S. strike. You don't see Israeli strikes. It's U.S.-Israeli joint strike in Tehran. U.S.-Israeli joint strike in Isfahan. U.S.-Israeli joint strike in Tabriz. All these different places in Iran. And so we're operating as one entity in this war. And so if Israel is obviously undermining the ceasefire and they're wreaking havoc on Iranian proxies, well, then why would they open the Strait? But of course, this is the plan from Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel. They want to try, and it's two things like I stated earlier, they want to try and sabotage this peace deal. They want to keep economic pressure on the United States because, look, if they can guarantee that Iran will close that strait by attacking Lebanon, they'll attack Lebanon because that puts pressure on Trump to make a decision and resume war. If that's the case, so be it. How do I know that's true? Because of the 40 days that we were at war with Iran, Israel was actually fighting Lebanon. And they've displaced about 1 million people. I'm seeing some reports of 2 million people. And they've killed thousands. But the day of the ceasefire, or the day after, just about 12 hours after, the following morning, they hit them with 100 strikes. The most that Lebanon has seen in one day since the conflict had started, I believe. And at the same time, of course, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, is answering questions from the press as these strikes are beginning. And so the situation is developing, and she's having a hard time balancing these questions and giving Washington's position. But there's one thing about all of this that's really scaring me, and I'll tell you what, and I'm not trying to do the whole clickbait fearmonger thing, but hear me out here. Donald Trump has never really hesitated historically to at least voice some discontent for what Israel does in the region when he does something against what he says to do. What do I mean by that? When Israel started the 12-day war, Operation Rising Lion, back in the summer, when Israel does things to Gaza after a ceasefire, when they're annexing the West Bank, which are all things that they're doing, typically you'll see the press secretaries, the press in the White House ask JD Vance and Donald Trump about their opinion, and they'll actually voice like a valid concern. They'll say, well, we disagree with that, and we're going to talk to Benjamin Netanyahu, and we're going to talk to Israeli officials and make sure they don't annex the West Bank. That will be our goal. JD Vance had said back in October on the Tarmac, I remember this vividly, a press reporter had asked him, hey, what's going on in the West Bank? Israel's trying to annex the West Bank. He said, Israel will not annex the West Bank. That will continue to be our goal. We will honor international law. Donald Trump said the same thing in the Oval Office. And so he said this on film. You can find the video. I know I'm right, so you can go fact check it if you don't believe me. But they've always kind of voiced some shadowy, vague condemnation when Israel does something to undermine us. And I remember during the 12-day war, I believe it was, or something else Israel had did to kind of really poke the bear in the region. Oh, it was when they struck Qatar. Remember when Hamas was going to have peace talks in Qatar, and then Israel struck Doha, Qatar, which is like the most peaceful nation in the region. It's probably Qatar and then Oman. And Israel had bombed Qatar. If you remember this, this was back in, I can't even remember now. My memory is folding on me, but it was not too long ago, just a few months back. And so Donald Trump, I remember on the tarmac, was being asked questions about it, and he said, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what the hell they think they're doing. And he seemed frustrated. He was angry. And now we work so hard after 40 days of brutal warfare to reach a ceasefire between a country that actually was saying, we're not going to talk to you anymore, rightfully so, because we stabbed them in the back several times. We somehow reach a ceasefire while both sides are making maximalist demands. Somehow, by the miracle of God, by the grace of God, we make a ceasefire, and Israel bombs Lebanon. What am I looking for? I'm looking for a condemnation from Washington. And that's what I said last stream. Where the fuck is JD Vance? Where the fuck is Donald Trump? Hey, hello. You're trying to stabilize the global oil market. You're trying to make your administration float with what little potential it has to actually float left, right? Everybody's jumping the ship. Everybody's getting fired. Approval ratings down in the fucking gutter. And you're probably going to lose in November. You got to stop this war, at least for now. And Israel does everything to keep this war going. Can somebody in Washington, a spokesperson, JD Vance, Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, can somebody say, hey, we didn't like that? I didn't see much of that. And it needs to come from Trump. Trump's got his phone in his hand, blasting a 500-word Truth Social post at Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, ripping them to shreds. Goes crazy. We're going to react to that. He goes nuclear. But then Israel bombs the shit out of Lebanon and undermines the peace deal that you need more than Iran right now because they have nothing to lose. You have everything to lose, your presidency. And you don't condemn Israel? To me, that's weird. Because you've done it before when they hit Qatar. So what the fuck is the hesitation for now? Why are you hesitant this time around? To me, it's odd. And that tells me vaguely that I don't know if these talks will be done in bad faith. I'm not going that far. I want to be gracious to the administration and think that they're trying to reach some sort of greater goal. But that also tells me that there's probably a long-term plan to return to this war. So let's say we get our prayers answered tomorrow and the peace talks in Pakistan go smoothly and everything is all fine and dandy. I know because of the fact that there's been no condemnation for Israeli action to drag us back into this war that will probably enter again. You know, and to me, this ceasefire is just for the United States to recoup. It's just for us to gather our marbles, kind of take a breath, and start from square one. Our interceptor missiles and our interceptor defense system in Israel and all the other Middle Eastern countries in the region, the Gulf countries, are low. They're running low. The stockpile's low. Don't believe what they're saying. Don't believe what Pete Hegseth says. All the intelligence reports say that they're low. And we have less interceptors than Iran has drones and missiles. And the cherry on top to that fact is it's more expensive for us to intercept a missile than it is for Iran to actually shoot a missile. And so with their surface-to-air missile program, their ballistic missile program. And this is obviously, you know, plainly put, a war of attrition. But in its asymmetric character and its aspect, it seems like it's actually starting to make a dent on the United States military. And so now we're strategically saying, oh, we'll make a ceasefire. But really, it looks like we're just recouping. And Israel really needs to recoup because of the fact that their interceptor missile system is really low. We know that because Haifa's been getting hit and all of Tel Aviv, everywhere around Israel, has been receiving tons of strikes. So this seems like it's kind of just a breather for the United States. And the Iranian delegation probably knows that. I'm actually surprised that they went through and had the talks. I thought that they were just not going to talk anymore. But it seems like they're willing to have one less conversation because of the fact that maybe JD Vance is a part of it. But don't be fooled. JD Vance was the biggest warmonger for the last, 5-6 years. He's been voicing concern about the IRGC. He had no issue with Trump greenlighting them in 2018, making the IRGC a terrorist organization alongside Mike Pompeo. And so, you know, this is to obviously bolster up the optics of JD Vance. That's beyond obvious. Nick did a great job breaking that down. And if you're not able to kind of see at this point, because what the fuck did he have to do with any sort of Middle Eastern envoy topic before this? He wasn't a part of the talks in Geneva and Oman. It was Jared Kushner, Stephen Witkoff. If JD Vance was so concerned about peace in the Middle East, then he would have been a part of the talks from the beginning and he would have been heavily involved. He would have had his name and his face written and signed all over it, but it wasn't. Because JD Vance was probably not so much against this war until he realized how bad of an idea it was, how bad it's affecting our economy, and how we're effectively losing. And you could say we're not militarily losing. Okay, bro, but we're strategically losing. And that matters. Optically, we're losing. Morally, we're losing. In every other way, we're losing. And we've lost so much of our power of deterrence. We tried so hard to practice or exercise brinksmanship, which is taking things to the absolute peak right before you get there and scaring the enemy. We tried deterrence, we tried escalation dominance, and Iran just checkmated us every single time. Every time. We had a military presence in the region for a month that was growing and growing and growing. They didn't fold. They were ready. We tried to undermine their protests. They didn't fold. They shut it down. They were ready. They got rid of all the CIA and the Mossad assets. By the way, Iranian media proved that that actually happened. That was the plan. Mike Pompeo on X said a Mossad agent walks alongside every single Iranian. So that's proven. That's not a conspiracy, by the way. Okay? And there's other things too. My brother does a really good job of breaking it down. They hit the Gulf countries when we weren't expecting it. They closed the Strait of Hormuz. They grabbed us by the balls. Pause. But that's the only analogy I can think of right now. But they really have the United States in the short, stacked, shitty position, which is you want to keep fighting us. We'll make it long-winded. Maybe you'll win, but we're going to make sure it's painful for you. And we're going to make sure you lose the midterms. That's why the ceasefire exists. It's not because Donald Trump woke up one day and said the Iranian people need freedom. The Iranian people. This is the same guy that was just gloating and boasting about the fact that he's going to liberate the people. The people do not want to be liberated, not from the likes of Israel and the United States, at least. This is the same thing with Operation Iraqi Freedom. George Bush said, I'm going to liberate the people. Look at footage from that invasion. There's footage online on YouTube. There were fathers in the streets crying, saying, you killed my whole family. I hate you, in the face of U.S. Army personnel. Iraqis to this day still hate America. So are we liberating the people, or are we just breeding more heat and more hate from a region that already hates us enough because we serve foreign interests? That being Israel, of course, primarily. So I don't have high hopes for these peace talks. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I don't think that the IRGC is going to concede. And by the way, what happens when JD Vance says, well, we need the Strait open, and then Iran says, well, Israel's got to stop? Which one's actually likely? If Benjamin Netanyahu knows, and this is the problem now, and this is why going to war was so stupid. I'll tell you why. Because now Benjamin Netanyahu has access to a weapon he may have never actually realized before. And it's capitulated him into senseless violence across the entire region. What is that? It's the fact that he knows with any sort of aggressive attack in the region against Hamas, the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians in the West Bank, Lebanon, which is what they do. That's what Israel does. Well, then Iran will just close the Strait of Hormuz until Israel fixes their actions. And what this does, it puts pressure on the United States and our economy. It also makes our NATO partners really upset. France has now joined the cause to try and reopen the Strait of Hormuz and broker peace. Pakistan wants to broker peace. Russia wants to broker peace. China came out in a statement explicitly wants to broker peace. By the way, 50% of their oil comes from the Gulf. Only the other 20% of whatever else there is left after that actually comes from Iran. That's probably increased now, I understand. But China has something to gain from the Gulf countries not being destroyed, in which if this war continues, they will suffer damage. So, hold on. Oh, is Myron live? Yo, I'm live.
Yo, yeah, no, I'm live right now too, bro. Do you want to jump on Discord?
Yeah, call me.
All right, call you on Discord. All right, bye.
W Myron, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We're about to have a great stream tonight. Easy Money Carson says, turning 28 today, wishing free Palestine and justice. Hey, happy birthday, bro. Thank you so much. Free Palestine. Hey, Jabriel or Gabriel? Jibril, probably. I don't know how to read it. Jabriel Hogan, thank you so much for joining the membership, man. Appreciate it. Shout out to you, bro. WU. WU. Oh yeah, we're gonna cook. We're gonna cook, chat. Get ready. We finna cook. Yo. Getting Myron on right now, guys.
Yeah, Ryad, you there?
Yo. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
My camera on. Yeah, what's up, man?
Stream can hear you.
Okay, cool. I was gonna activate this.
Oof. Excuse me, guys.
Right.
Just had an apple. All right, got you.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here, baby. Let's go. W Myron.
Yeah, we're here.
Hold on, let me just. Dude, OBS is so glitchy right now. My chat's not working.
It's not.
So annoying, bro. Yeah.
What do you want to do? What do you want to discuss? You want to discuss?
So I was just talking about the peace deals and my prediction and why I think the United States entered them, but I got a lot of stuff queued. I got Patrick Bet-David, I got Trump's meltdown, I got Candace Owens' response to Trump's meltdown as well as Alex Jones's response. She did, okay. Yeah. She dropped a 40-minute piece on YouTube. We don't have time to probably watch all of it, but we'll watch some clips of it.
Yeah, we can do that.
I had some stuff in the queue, but what did you want to do?
I was going to cover Robert Pape, the professor. He wrote a really good piece on the New York Times about how this war is actually turning Iran into a major world power. Because obviously, based on what these ceasefire negotiations, I think JD Vance just got into Pakistan. For those of you that don't know, guys, there's literally oh, Ryad, you're frozen. Oh, no, you're fine. Okay. For those of you guys that don't know, there's literally ceasefire talks going on right now in Islamabad, Pakistan. They're acting as the intermediary. And from the United States, you got JD Vance, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner. I think from the Iranian side, it's IRGC and the head of parliament.
It is the head of parliament, so Mohammed Ghalibaf, and then Abbas Aragchi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Okay. So
did you see the photo?
Which photo?
Take a look. There's a photo of them arriving on the tarmac here in Islamabad, and I was saying this shit's kind of aura. It's low-key aura. Come on. That shit's low-key aura. I'm not going to lie. Somebody's got to say it. But yeah.
Well, they were flown in by the Pakistan Air Force, and obviously Chamberlain is an idiot. He goes, "Oh, they got flown in by the Pakistani Air Force because
the guy's an idiot. He's got no clue about nothing."
I was like, bro, that's standard protocol. And like, even because like when Putin came to Alaska, for example, people don't know. Our fighter jets escorted him out of our airspace. It's like customary that when foreign dignitary comes into your airspace, you fly him in and fly him out to ensure nothing happens to them in your airspace, right? Like, I mean, we're talking about an international incident, right? If someone was to get assassinated or killed or something like that on their soil, it's a huge diplomatic embarrassment. So it's very common to to do that.
Yeah, and I saw that tweet. I thought that was really funny, but I'll tell you, man, just briefly my prediction before we read that article. I'm excited to see that, or maybe it's a video by Robert Page, but I'm kind of concerned that these talks are just going to be like the ones that we saw in February, where they don't really go anywhere, man. It's going to be like the Geneva-Oman situation again, because both sides are making maximalist demands. I mean, what worse of a situation do you have when both sides are asking for maximalist demands, which both sides have a right to, primarily, of course, Iran, more so than the United States. And then you got Benjamin Netanyahu on the side, just knowing that he can exacerbate the issue at any time. And he can now weaponize the fact that the...
My bad.
No, you're all good.
It's my bad.
We won't say anything about that. That's funny. That was very funny. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So Benjamin Netanyahu can now weaponize the idea, or he knows, hey, if I cause any sort of disruption in the region, if I hit Lebanon, if I hit Gaza, if I hit the West Bank, or do whatever I've been doing, well, then Iran can close the Strait of Hormuz, and that grabs the United States again in a bad position. So, like, now he knows Iran is ready to continuously close that strait, and if that's available to them as a means of revenge against Israel and the United States, he's going to keep weaponizing that. I think that's really bad. I don't know if he saw that before. I mean, it's Netanyahu, right? Probably he did have that plan, but now they know it can really work, if that kind of makes sense. He can weaponize the fact that they're hurting us with the strait.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. Take on it. It's just, yeah, it's just funny because like I saw Will Chamberlain debate Joe Ken on this yesterday, and like they're just like lie upon lie. They got the Hezbollah talking points, and then he went on Twitter earlier talking about the fighter jets or whatever, and I was like, yo, like, dude, he's like, oh, we destroyed the Air Force. Okay, nobody cares. Like they're like, that their Air Force is a joke. Like we know that Israel's not attacking
the 70s, bro.
Like it was never about the Air Force. It's like you're stepping over, $100 bills to pick up quarters. Like until you guys can get rid of the ballistic missile program, nothing's gonna happen.
Exactly.
And they just don't get it.
Yeah, and I'm nervous, man, because the United States is gonna make that stupid demand for the ballistic missiles program to be weakened or nullified. And I know Iran is not going to concede to that. The nuclear talks, nuclear enrichment, maybe there's some hope there if we exercise good patience and good faith throughout the talks, because this probably will be the first of a few, I'd imagine. But the missiles thing, there's just no way. There's no way they're going to talk on the missile thing, or they're going to come to the table on that. And that's my concern, man, is both sides are asking for things that either opposing side is just not going to give up. The United States has already conceded a little bit more. They said that the 10-point plan will be a foundation from which they'll work from, right? Trump said that in the Truth Social post. He says their 10-point plan is a foundation from which we'll work from. And I said this earlier. I said, well, okay, perfect. If you're going to work from the 10-point plan, there's some things that are a little bit more arbitrary and need further discussion, but there's some things that are like self-implied, kind of right away effective. And one of those things was, of course, a ceasefire. Hey, stop bombing the shit out of Lebanon. Hezbollah is no longer a threat. They put down arms for the ceasefire, effectively for the ceasefire, and then Israel goes and destroys southern Lebanon with 100 strikes inside of a morning. And the scariest thing to me is the fact that Washington has not condemned it. Like, we haven't really gotten any explicit. Remember, when Qatar was hit, Trump said, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what the hell they think they're doing on the tarmac. Remember that? And even when the West Bank
issue, supposed to be the ceasefire. That's for the 12-day war. When he said they're fighting, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. That's for the 12-day war. But Qatar, he wasn't happy about that either.
And so, but that's the thing. Historically, Trump has always been somewhat willing to at least condemn Israel, not go full-fledged, but voice some concern. Like, hey, I didn't like that. Hey, I'll talk to them about that. In this situation, he's mute. And it's like, this would be a really good time.
JD Vance made a comment on the tarmac saying, like, the Israelis are agreeing to, like, checking their aggression a little bit while we're in the middle of these talks. So,
well, they just hit Gaza. They just hit Gaza really hard.
Again?
Again.
You want to know why? Because today was the last day for them. I think it was either today or yesterday was the last day for them.
They're milking Hamas. It, bro. They're milking it.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, yesterday, I completely forgot about this. Yesterday was the last day, or it was today. I forget what it was. Hamas was supposed to disarm, and they didn't. So we might see a war go back on there.
Yeah.
That ceasefire might be cooked.
Yep.
Because wasn't that ceasefire made on the contingency that they, wasn't it made on the contingency that they disarm?
For Hamas?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But, I mean, they can't disarm if they're going to keep – and that's the thing. They want to poke the bear. They want to get Hamas to arm back up. They want to look like they're the ones being attacked or singled out in the region. And so this is a part of the plan, of course. But I'm just mad because not even one White House spokesperson, not Caroline Leavitt, not Donald Trump, not Marco Rubio. J.D. Vance is kind of straddling the line, but that's just because he wants to save face for 28. It's like no one is saying, what the hell are you doing? And that's all. Maybe that's what Abbas Araghchi wants to see. Maybe that's what Pezeshkian or Mohammed Ghalibaf wants to see. They just want to see a little bit of concern from Washington, so it displays that we're actually working in good faith. You know what I mean? Like if we go, hey, Israel, what the hell? Like we're trying to work this out. Israel, what the hell? At least the Iranians see optically, okay, United States is kind of checking them. But when we just let them do that and we say nothing, that causes a lot of distrust.
Watered down thing. And yo, Alex, 5'8", thank you so much. 45 big gifted, man.
Oh, shit.
Alex 580, thank you so much. And Casa Verde, thank you so much. All you guys in the chat better thank Alex for gifting you guys subs. Now you guys can use emotes, you fry in the bag niggas. So, but yeah, no, if you want, we can start with the Candace Owens, then we could go into the war into the war. But if you want to start with the Truth Social post of Trump going nuts, we could do that first if you want.
It's up to you. I don't know if you covered it yet.
No, I didn't. I read his Truth Social post because I thought it was hilarious, but I didn't. I didn't see Candace responded. I didn't see that.
Okay, And that's the thing too, bro. He just rips all of these guys apart, and then at the same time, Israel's destroying the region, undermining the peace deal that's going to save your presidency. The peace deal that's going to save your presidency is being undermined by Netanyahu. But no, attack Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones.
I think the ceasefire is literally just for them to rearm, bro. And I genuinely think he's taking a 2-week break to get more assets in the region. And we know that they mobilized a bunch of Marines from San Diego. And pretty much like they're sending all of them to the region. And then also we know that he wanted the markets to recover as well, is what I think. And then the clandestine operation failure. The clandestine operation failed. So he's like, okay, what's the point of me bleeding the markets now? Right?
That's crazy, bro. My chat is going to go, what the hell? I literally said that exactly before you just called me now. I said it's all just a ruse. You know, it's a sham. It's not actually done in good faith. And it's just for us to recoup. And that F-15 being shot down and our plan being foiled with the CIA, that was the last straw. I have it here. Yeah, I can read it really quick, bro. This is an essay. This is an absolute essay. You got this? Can you see it on your screen?
Yeah, let me pull it up right now. Yeah, yeah, this show was hilarious.
This is crazy, bro.
Yeah, you yesterday, but I know you'll probably do a better job in your you got the Trump voice.
I can't keep up the impression for this long, bro. By the time I'm done with this, is gonna be 11. It's gonna be time for after hours. This nigga went sick. No, okay, so goodness gracious. So he goes, I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. Because they have one thing in common, low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it. I'm sorry, this is kind of funny. They know it, their families know it, and everyone else knows it too. Look at their past. Huh?
No, I said President of the United States, by the way.
Yeah, literal president, leader of the world, effectively. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows. They aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and they will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now, they think they got some clicks because they have the third-rate podcast, but nobody's talking about them. Nobody's talking about them. And their views are the opposite of MAGA, or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating of Trump, not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson, who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Or Megyn Kelly, who nastily asked me now the famous only Rosie O'Donnell question, or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France being a man. When she is not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. Or bankrupt Alex Jones. This is crazy. I'm sorry, I gotta pause and just say this is crazy. He's going for the jugular on everybody. Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune, or he should have, for his horrendous attack on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers. They always will be. Now fake news CNN, the failing New York Times, and all of the other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They're not MAGA. They're losers just trying to latch on to MAGA. As president, I can get them on my side anytime I want to, but when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on world and country affairs. And after a few times, they go nasty, just like Marjorie Trader Brown. But I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about doing right for our country. MAGA is about winning and strength and not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA is about making America great again. And these people have no idea how to do that, but I do, because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. President Donald J. Trump. Wow. So, President of the United States, ladies and gentlemen, that's Donald Trump for you. It's just funny because, you know, of course, all of these guys were voicing support for Trump just some time ago. But the biggest thing that actually caught me by surprise, I didn't think he'd go for Alex Jones like that because, bro, Alex Jones has been like relatively fair in his credit. Well, not to me. I think it's way too late. But for everybody else or all the MAGA base, Alex Jones has reserved a lot of concern for Trump. He's actually been pretty soft on him until recently when
they got mad about the 25th Amendment. He did a stream broadcast like a couple of days ago, and he talked about the 25th Amendment. After he sent, I think it was the Easter Post or the power plant thing, they're like, yo, this guy's unhinged.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it took a lot for Alex Jones to actually join the anti-MAGA crowd, or really the America First crowd, whatever you want to call it. But I'm surprised he went for Alex Jones like that. Called him bankrupt.
Keep going.
Go ahead. So, yeah, President of the U.S., ladies and gentlemen. Let me read some of these chats that I got coming in before we continue on, because I don't like to let them pile up on me. To Myron stream. Oh, you guys can see that. Sorry. Close that. To Myron stream. Shout out to you guys. I'll get back to everything in a moment. Troy Sherman says, $1 challenge, everyone. Okay. Oh, thanks, man. Armando Houston Holmes says, Cook 'em, Ryad and Myron. What do you think about Candace's response? We're about to look at that right now. Come to Houston and do a show, not on college campus, at a workplace studio, fielding QA. Yeah. Maybe I'd go to Houston. Why not? Leaf Shinobi says, Ryad, just run with your brother when he runs for fear. You can't trust the Republicans or the Diddycrats for shit. They're both, yeah. To some degree, man. With whatever side of the political aisle you're on, unfortunately, they seem to have the same ultimate purpose or be undermined by the same party. Starlin, E2M, thank you for joining the squad. And then Living Life 1000 says, W. Myron, W. Ryad, I supported you, brother, and I need to support you. Thank you so much, man. Don DeMarco, $300. W's in the chat and 07s for Living Life 1000. God bless you, my friend. Your support means the world, and you make the show run the way it does. So God bless. W's in the chat for him, man.
Give me one second.
He's increasing my likelihood of not being a brokey forever. Living Life 1000. We love the rich people, and I love my chat when they're rich. No, I'm kidding. Thank you so much, bro. God bless you, man. Appreciate that. Can't express my gratitude enough. Thank you. Okay. I think that's all the chats. But W's in the chat for Living Life 07s. No / I'm on YouTube, guys. Be careful. But yeah, so Trump went nuclear. And if you guys didn't see, hopefully Myron's stream is able to see this large. Hang on one second. Don't worry, Myron stream. I got you guys covered. Let me ensure. Okay, you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I was going to show Alex Jones's response. I just didn't know if you had the screen full. So I'm going to pull it up now.
Okay.
National MAGA supporters today. And I'm just so sad that whatever's happened to him has totally changed the man he once was. He did so much good. That said, it followed just a few hours after Melania Trump came out, unannounced, reportedly Trump didn't know, and said she wasn't involved with Epstein and she supports a full investigation by Congress into the Epstein cover-up. Trump says Epstein's a hoax. So this reminds me of...
Bruh, that is not a hoax, bro. Come
yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
Melinda French, when she started turning against Bill, also over Epstein. So Trump's got big problems, folks. And I am just so concerned about this country and the world. Trump's being led around by the nose by Netanyahu and by Mark Levin and others. And
yes, Alex. Yes, finally. Finally.
Oh, I got Mark Levin.
He can see the leashes now all around Trump's neck.
It's so sad. The Iran war is a total disaster. A black eye for America. They control the Strait of Hormuz. It is just absolutely incredible what we're seeing and what we're facing. I supported the old Trump and got so many good things done. But at the end of the day, I just feel sorry for him and pray that God touch his heart and soul and free him from the demonic influences that he's under. I mean, it's just that simple. This is a nightmare. We know the Democrats, the left, are absolutely terrible. But when Trump's calling for wiping out whole civilizations and acting like a supervillain, I have to come out.
And that made him really hard to defend. You know, I saw a burst of MAGA supporters really go, oh, when Trump let out that tweet, and I believe it was Thursday morning last week. When was that "Civilization will die" tweet on Truth Social?
He said that yeah, it was last week. Well, earlier this week. It was like right after Easter, like a day or two after Easter.
Oh, was it on Monday? Yeah,
might have been. This week.
Time is screwing me up
Everyone
because of all the developments.
Shout out to Alex once again with the 45, bro. Thank you so much.
Hey, shout out to Alex, man. But yeah, I saw a lot of the MAGA base go, all right, yeah, this is a sinking ship once he let out that Truth Social post. So, you know, Trump has been digging his own grave. I said if he's just been taking it easy, if he had just prior learned to control his fingers on Truth Social, he wouldn't have been receiving this much hate. You know, a lot of the hate is just coming from his rhetoric more than his actions. You know, his actions, of course, we're always attacking them because we can see through the bullshit. But the rhetoric now, he's digging his own grave. You know, he's making things a lot worse than they need to be. letting out these genocidal Truth Social posts and everything like that. And then 10 seconds later, calling for a ceasefire and saying he wants the Iranian people to be great. It's like, you can tell he's kind of losing it.
Let's say I don't support it.
Well, it contradicts himself all over the place.
All over the place, man.
Yeah.
Trump's own wife came out at an unannounced press conference today and said the Epstein.
Yeah, guys, and I didn't mention this, but Melania Trump came out and defended herself in regards to being involved in the Epstein files, which is funny that it's coming out now. Of course, in the midst of all of this, when things cool down, of course, now that comes out for something else to distract the people with. But, yeah.
Crimes are real and that she wants the victims to be in front of Congress and the cover up to end. That's the opposite of what Trump's saying. Looks to me like she's breaking with Trump because she knows the ship's sinking, has found out the truth. Elon left 8 months ago saying he's in the files as a cover-up. I never saw any evidence of it, but he's acting like he's guilty. We know he's protecting Howard Lutnick, who said he didn't know Epstein didn't go to the island, and he did. So all I can say is this is a terrible day, and it's a nightmare for America and the world, but I'm going to tell the truth, reporting the facts, no matter what it is. Was I somewhat naive? Did I defend Trump too long? He did so much good? Yeah, I did. Are people that, said I defended him too long, are they right?
Did you say something?
No, I'm listening.
Yeah, it looks like they are. Fine to a victory lap. But I did it from a place of believing he was the lesser of two evils. And I guess at the end of the day, justice be done by the heavens fall. There's no such thing as lesser of two evils. So I took the establishment attacking him as the sign I should support him. I took myself being attacked for supporting him as a sign I should support him. And now it's certainly clear that this new Donald Trump is somebody we shouldn't support, and I'm not. So I'm energetically opposing him. I'm calling for the 25th Amendment if he continues to call for nuclear war and genocide. Hopefully he backs down. We'll continue to report this as it unfolds, but that's the facts. Melania Trump, they've said, was turning against Trump years ago. I never believed it, but now she's definitely countermanding what he said and done, saying there's nothing to Epstein. She's saying there is. It should be investigated. I stand with Melania Trump, and I stand with the truth. I stand with the victims of Epstein against the Epstein class. Follow me on X, Real Jones, on Rebel.
Yep, so that's that. Let's see what Candace had to say. I have that queued up here, actually.
This is going to be funny.
About anymore. And
yeah, she went sick. Here, I got it here. Let me see if there's anybody else who reacted. Tucker Carlson actually released a statement as well, although I don't know if he's done a show just yet. But this is what Candace had to say. And by the way, am I going to get nuked for this copyright or no?
You shouldn't.
Okay.
I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that Vance and Todd we
read it for you guys, so we'll just go straight to her reaction.
Won the presidential election in a landslide first, because let's park it there, right? Let's just chew on that portion right there first, because it is a stunning break from reality. Because I'll ask the question, do you have any idea why it was, Mr. President, that your old tweets, the sentences you used to say, which were typically definitely insults back in 2015, but do you ever wonder why they worked? I can help you. Ready? It's because they were rooted in some element of truth. Okay. So if you called Rosie O'Donnell unattractive, or when you said Hillary Clinton should be in prison, it played to the crowd because although many people thought it was inappropriate and beneath the dignity of a politician, it was based in truth, right? Hillary Clinton's done some things. Now, you can call Megyn.
Yeah, some things, nigga. A lot of things. A lot of things. No doubt about that.
Kelly, a great many things. I have definitely had my political disagreements with her over the years. Low IQ? Really? Tucker Carlson, low IQ? Me, low IQ? The three of us unsuccessful somehow? When you write stuff like that, you just demonstrate nothing but your own irrationality.
Go ahead.
The crazy thing, like what I was saying was like, dude, alternative media is where it's at now, unfortunately. Like that's what helped him win the presidency. So for him to say, oh, some bullshit about, they're failing on TV shows and everything. Like, dude, TV is kind of like cooked now.
Yeah.
Like mainstream media, and he knows that. He hates the mainstream media.
Yeah, exactly. He's actually contradicting his whole foundation or his position that he's always spoke about. Who are you with? ABC, fake news, CNN, fake news. Because here he says third-rate podcasts, but these podcasts are responsible for the fact that he honestly won the election. Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, of course, played a huge role as well. Tucker Carlson, all these guys, they probably got him in office, bro, to be honest, all those endorsements. So for him to turn back and talk shit about them, and I get it because they've opposed him at this point, but he's given them no choice. But he knows that these podcasts have tons of motion. He knows that alternative media, like you said, is the way. No one really, the only people that are cranking on actual local TV stations or local news, Fox News, whatever it is, are probably people over the age of maybe 40 or, maybe even 30, Gen X, millennials, of course, boomers, but, the Zoomers certainly not. So he knows that's a sailing ship, no doubt.
It just doesn't land. Nobody cares about them anymore. Really? You're the leader of the free world and you're tweeting about us. I think that means somebody cares. Actually, what nobody cares about anymore and what you seem to have an inability to comprehend is that traditional cable news no longer moves the needle. Cable TV is a dying medium. FDR, he used the radio, right? His voice, the fireside chats, it worked. It moved audiences when it was new. And when the world transitioned there, and then suddenly it was the dawn of television, JFK's good looks on the screen, that served him. And he used that. Once again, fast forward to today, and the world is technologically advancing. Yet you're launching insults at what you don't comprehend. Joe Rogan is not going to do Fox News hits. Do you understand this? He is not trying to get on CNN. None of us are. I don't know how else to help you understand. You are quite literally mocking people because they comprehend something that you don't. Tucker Carlson is more powerful than you. Deep down, I think you know that, and I think you resent that, which is proven by your next lines. Let's read on. You continue, MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating of Trump, not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Okay. Obviously, Tucker Carlson is in his prime. The whole world understands that. That sentence, he couldn't even finish college. Are you aware?
Yeah, I mean, Tucker Carlson peaked in popularity after he left Fox. When he went independent, that's when he really broke out. Of course, he was always a household name, and he was well-known, well-respected journalist, but after the Fox News thing, man, that really put him in the spotlight more than anything. If you didn't know about him before, you knew about him after.
Her getting off Daily Wire, him getting off Fox, I think it all helped them. Like, it helped their careers.
Significantly. It made their careers.
Yeah.
Made their careers 100%. And they probably make way more money now. No doubt they definitely make way more money. So
that your base is comprised of blue-collar workers who never went to college, many who never so much wanted to go to college, never dreamed it. The farmers, the ranchers, the plumbers, the electricians, the people who work with their hands, you now stick your nose up to all of those people. Do you know who else didn't go to college? Charlie Kirk didn't go to college. Those men, many, I would say, a lot of the men and women that you and Pete Hegseth want to send to their deaths in the Middle East, many of them, probably most of them, didn't go to college. And let me be perfectly clear here when I say that each and every one of them is infinitely more smart and more capable than you and the people that you surround yourself with in this moment. But let's continue, because CNN says you got 100% support. You write, or Megyn Kelly, who nastily asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question, or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. This Brigitte Macron, who did you write that sentence for? Not even Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron applauded that sentence, okay? They said incroyable. It doesn't help. Sometimes propaganda, when it's too naked, actually just hurts the cause that it purports to support. What is your obsession with Brigitte? This Brigitte Macron in the swimsuit, you think that you can command people, men, straight men, to suddenly think that Brigitte is hot? Did you date Jean-Michel Trogneau? Are you gay? Why are you so obsessed calling me from the White House? Stop talking about Brigitte. Is it a physical attraction truly that you had there back when he was better looking, I suppose? Did you sleep with him when he was a man? Do you think people care? To your point about I hope she wins money since it's all you see, gold, shekels. Do you think your base cares when the subject matter is children that are being statutorily raped by their supervisors? Do you understand that no one in MAGA, in true MAGA, cares about money above truth and protecting children? Did you connect that dot when we revolted against you saying, what about the Epstein files? That seems to be a theme with you. Protecting people who harm children. Why do you keep doing that? Why do you want people to be sued for standing up to that class? We continue. Let's go back to your message conclusively, right? Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune as he should have. It's all about money for you, Trump, isn't it? For his horrendous attack on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming that it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers, and they always will be. Now, fake news CNN, who you literally, you just cited as saying you had 100% support. So are they fake or are they real, Trump? Now, the fake news CNN.
Hey, Team Bird, thank you so much for the membership. Shout out to you. Welcome.
And the failing New York Times and all of the other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They are not MAGA, they are losers. Just trying to latch onto MAGA. As president, I could get them on my side anytime I want. But when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on world and country affairs. And after a few times, they go nasty, just like Marjorie Trader Brown. But I no longer care about that stuff. I only care.
All right, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was trying to call her poop or if he was like trying to say brown clown type shit.
Yeah, Marjorie Trader Brown.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. She was the first one. I think honestly the first one to jump off the MAGA train when she stepped down. But
about doing what's right for our country. MAGA is about winning and strength in not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA is about making America great again, and these people have no idea how to do that, but I do, because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world.
that ain't true. Definitely not the hottest. Ask NATO, ask G7, ask the EU. I don't think they'd agree.
President Donald J. Trump. Was that written by Mark Levin, like when he was 6? Or who put this message together? The hottest country in the world because we're bombing?
Nah, that's definitely Trump who wrote that. The hottest country anywhere. The hottest, best you could get anywhere. Quite frankly, the best. That was definitely... Trump's just got such a pattern in his language, you know? He always says, like, he always adds something unnecessary to, like, a statement that already exists. Like, a statement that already has enough, he'll always add something unnecessary. So that's definitely... That's Trump, bro. This whole message has Trump written all over it, bro. There's like some sort of process of being able to figure out who wrote something. Maybe you would know about that from what you did previously, but there's like some sort of process scientifically where you can find out if somebody wrote something, not from their handwriting, but from like their pattern and stuff. And dude, I mean, you can just tell they don't have what it takes and they never did. Like he's always got to double down, you know, like unnecessary double downs. This was Trump.
Kids for no reason because we just killed 150 schoolgirls for no reason because you guys just lied about 6 of our servicemen who died. And they had to leak that to CBS News, that you were lying about what was happening. Is that what makes us hot? Is Hot Girl Summer being led by Brigitte Macron and people who attack people, other journalists for telling the truth? What's going on? Who put this message together for you and hit send? You're citing CNN, but you're also dissing CNN for having produced certain polls. I don't know. You just told us that we couldn't get on CNN, but now you're saying that we have good coverage on CNN. You're all over the place. It seems like you can't put together a coherent thought. Let me tell you something, and this is just reality, okay? Going back to just the rules of the jungle. Okay, let all the politicians and advisors around you evaporate for just a moment. Just you and me. Ready? People will not fight beside, behind, or for someone who is fundamentally disloyal. Okay? If disloyalty and deceit is in your nature, then I highly suggest that you combine it with silence. You can be what you are, but I would advise you do it quietly, Trump. Because MAGA is no longer commanded by you, and you know it. You know it. You belong to the Epstein class. That is your legacy now. People will see your name on buildings, whatever was agreed upon in those boardrooms with Jared Kushner, Trump, Gaza, hotel, whatever you tweeted.
I think another thing too why I think another reason too why JD Vance is going on this one is they don't like Jared Kushner and Witkoff or Gotcha and them. They don't think like they're competent, which to be honest with you, I don't think they are either. No,
100%. And look, front facingly, this will make JD Vance look good for better or for worse, whatever. But, of course, I mean, Jared Kushner and Stephen Witkoff were the two that they were speaking with before they just got bombed out of nowhere in February. They were in the midst of talks, and the talks were supposed to continue. So, I'm surprised they even actually got on the plane, man. To me, that's telling. So maybe JD did make a difference. Maybe they were happy to have a new member from the United States representing Washington and actually talking in good faith. But ultimately, again, because of the nature of the demands that we're going to have to request, especially to keep Israel calm or defuse them, it's just going to be demands that are not going to be realistic for Iran to actually come to the table, So maybe we'll get an extension tomorrow, but yeah, I do think JD being a part of it.
It's supposed to be Saturday morning, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, tomorrow, I think it's 10 a.m. Washington time, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that what Carolyn Levitt said? Yeah. So we'll see. That'll be very interesting. We'll see what comes out.
I think that'll be the first time we've had direct talks with them, unless they're going to do indirect like last time. I'm not sure, because in Oman, it was indirect. They were sitting in two different rooms, and the mediator from Oman was just going back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do it this way this time.
At this stage, I would imagine they'd be direct. I mean, they're already full-fledged at war,
Yeah.
So it'd be cool.
I would hope so.
It'd be cool to see what comes about, but, I don't know. Maybe JD Vance will be the quote-unquote hero, but, before this conflict started, he wasn't a part of those talks. I don't think it was him. It was just Jared Kushner, Stephen Witkoff. Now it's JD Vance. It's like, hey, now you're worried because we started a problem we can't actually extinguish. So he knows this is bad optics. If this continues, the longer this war goes, he might as well just forget it. He may as well not even try and campaign for 28.
They will see that. You will earn that. And then when they see it, they will think about how many children had to die or be raped by men on islands so that you could stick the Trump name upon a building. And for clarity, Mr. President, that's not my fault. That's not Megyn Kelly's fault. That's not Tucker Carlson's fault. You made that trade. You chose money above respect. And what an absolute shame that you chose to do that.
You got to think, to make the likes of Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson go against you, and I'm not discrediting them by saying that. I'm saying that to say they've never really been very heavy into the whole Israeli foreign policy thing like Tucker and Candace have.
Yeah.
And so for those two to jump onto the anti-MAGA train, I mean, that's a tell in of itself how far this has gone left.
Toward the end of your life, okay? Because you can't take money and things and stuff with you when you go, just your soul. And you sold yours for what? Another gilded ballroom? Let me be perfectly clear when I say this. Charlie Kirk, he died free. You will most certainly die a slave, okay? You are in chains right now, and the entire world can see that perfectly. At best, what you can hope for in this moment is that maybe one day upon the college campuses that you so deeply cherish, they'll teach all about your now tarnished legacy as the perfect modern day example of Plato's allegory of the cave. You familiar with that one? The prisoner chained in a cave. Multiple prisoners chained in a cave with a fire burning behind them, mistaking shadows on the wall for reality.
It's been like this war has been like the main issue here. You want to transition to the war shit?
Sure. Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. The war is the nail in the coffin. Everything else is just
shout out to all you guys showing love, by the way. Let me read some of these chats. One Chest says, Myron says, fat people are losers. Absolutely they are. Here with One Chest, guys. Peruvian Chase, thank you so much for the O/. OSS, what's good, photo bros? Big shout out to my wife and son. My wife went into early labor Tuesday and needed to be induced. April 2026, my son Kareem. Amen. Shout out to you, man. Peter Lovechild, O/, thank you. Yes, I said Kushner and Witkoff were out of negotiations according to Packy News. Unfortunately, they were wrong. Recently, I've stayed up to date with Packy News and will send any major updates from them here. IDF killed in action, 722. That's nuts.
Wow.
That's nuts. on from one of our guys. Thank you, Jarheaded, for that update. That's with the Lebanese the Lebanon conflict. So we got the Dave Smith debate and everything, guys. I'm going to get off of YouTube. Come on over to Kick, guys. Come on over to Kick. I am going to get off it in a little bit here, so just get ready. But this is really interesting, man. So Robert Pape, for those of you that don't know, he is a very well-renowned like military analyst, right? When it comes to air power, terrorism, that type of thing. Let me show you guys who he is exactly. And he was advisor as well. Trump sucks. Thanks for the $5. How tall is your brother, Myron? He's about 6'2", 6'1".
Yeah. By the way, I have a chat.
I don't think Trump sucks that much, guys. We just don't like this war bullshit and some of the other stuff. But go ahead, Ryad.
Dudes 100 said Tucker posted a phenomenal interview today with RT Journal from Lebanon who survived IDF missile assassination attempt. Dude shared shocking facts. Okay, I'll cue that. Thank you so much. And then that's it.
Mike Dixie, thank you for the 10, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah. No, the war, again, like I said, the war is what all of the MAGA base really couldn't get with, everybody. I see Steven Crowder even trying to bandage it, but it's like, bro, just let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, no, man.
Just let it go.
It's a huge. Let me see here. Okay. So here we go. Okay, now you guys should be able to see it, right? Okay, so here he is, guys. Just so you guys know, he's American political scientist who studies national and international security affairs with focus on air power, political violence, and social media propaganda and terrorism. So here he did an interview, okay, and he actually wrote this article on New York Times. You guys should check it out. It's a good read. The war is turning Iran into a major world power.
Yep. Right?
And how basically, a lot of the things that we've talked about have like backfired on the U.S., and, we go over this in detail.
Not to be cocky, but this is going to be a nice vindication here, because it's not like we echoed the same thing for 2-3 months in January, February before this started. Literally said this is going to make them more powerful. But, I digress.
Yep. So let's go ahead and here's an interview that he did. And a lot of the stuff that we told you guys basically is what he says in here. So
Democracy Now, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The war is turning Iran into a major world power. That's the headline of a new op-ed in the New York Times by our next guest, Robert Pape, professor of political science at...
Now, a lot of people would think that this is crazy because, like, what are you talking about? Mike Dixie, thank you so much. Wen67, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Appreciate you guys.
The University of Chicago. Professor Pape writes Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz could help elevate Iran to become a fourth center of global power, along with the United States, China, and Russia. Pape writes, quote, if Iranian control over the Strait persists for months or years, as I believe it may, it will drastically reshape the global order to the detriment of the United States, unquote. Professor Pape joins us now from London. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Professor. Can you lay out your argument, why you believe the war is turning Iran into a major world power?
Yes. Thank you very much for having me. What most people know is that Iran is causing oil shortages through selective blockade using drones and mines. I'm going one step further. I'm discussing the power that selective blockade gives Iran today, in the coming months. And
you guys got to remember, the blockade that they have, you don't have to actually hit anything, okay? All you have to do is demonstrate the ability that you can so that the insurance companies don't want to insure the vessels, and then, boom, the strait is effectively closed, okay? So, this is just basic stuff. Also, let me go ahead, guys. I'm going to end the YouTube stream here, guys. So, guys, come on over to Kick, kick.com/MyronGainsX, kick.com/MyronGainsX. I'm going to go ahead and end the YouTube stream here, guys. So come on over.
In the coming years, it is power because of geography. The choke point at Hormuz is geographically perfectly located to allow Iran to selectively control the shipping through Hormuz, which means it can use that selective control as leverage to gain political power in the Gulf, change the hierarchy, change the balance of power in the Gulf from a balance to a hierarchy where Iran now is at the top of the hierarchy. And if other states do not accept Iran's power, they lose tremendous gross domestic product.
And this is what's kind of going on with the Gulf states right now, guys. And also, did you guys see the damage at the El Udeid base? It's completely destroyed, by the way. I don't know. Did you see it, Ryad?
Yeah.
Can you put it on? It's bad, dude. Like, it got destroyed. And then one of the guys that got one of the army guys from Kuwait came and did an interview with CBS and said that their base also got destroyed and they didn't have the same reinforcement like Pete Hegseth tried to claim.
Yeah, let's see if I can pull it up. All 13, or I think it's 15 total bases in the Middle East across the GCC have been pretty much moved to a state of inhabitable. None of them can be operated out of until the United States actually launches some serious repairs. Let's see. Okay, hey, I got it here. Take a look. So this reads. You able to see that?
Yep. Go ahead. Make it big on your. I'll make it big on my side.
Report circulating online claims damage at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar following the strikes. Goodness.
Yeah, bro.
That's brutal. And one has to ask, after this, this gives these Gulf countries the perfect reason to go, no, you're fine. After this is all said and done with, when the United States tries to come back in and operate these bases or power plants or whatever it is, it looks like this is the air-based power plant, but are we even going to go as far as to try and repair this when the IRGC can just destroy it again like that if a war starts?
That's what I'm saying. Like, we'll never be able to return.
Yeah, it's a repetitive cycle that the Gulf countries are just going to see through and go, hey, there's just no point of you having a military presence here because it puts a large red target on our back that we're not willing to deal with again, which is why they've gone so desperate to the point where they even try to help the United States in this war. And that switched over from where they're categorically trying to call for peace, every single one of them. So, you look at everything, you look at the way this is all set up and the direction in which things are going. I highly doubt that after this is all said and done with, the Gulf countries will have or allow us to share military power in the region. Nah, not the same way anymore. It's not deterrence anymore. It's just a target.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And again, this is why I say the bases are destroyed. The Gulf states are not going to allow us to maintain those bases and rebuild them, knowing that this is what gets them attacked and can get the Strait of Hormuz closed. So they lose the tourism, they lose the safety, and they lose energy, commerce. By
that
working
all
with
plays
us.
into Pape's point too. That's all literally what he's trying to say is if the United States can't flex their muscles there, well then who will? Because somebody will. And it's crazy.
Like, we've been saying this shit for weeks, and people look at us like we're crazy. Like, oh, you're just pro IRGC. It's like, no, dude, we're just pro logic.
Those people are just stupid. Those people are. Just,
smooth brain, dude.
Doing this with you for the maybe 50, 60 days that we've been doing it so far, you just really find that some people are. They're just incapable of actually understanding this stuff. So, people let their biases and whatever kind of cloud their judgment and get in the way of functionally thinking and looking at things objectively. And so you just ignore those people because at this point, the vindication is ridiculous. It's just, forget even listening to us prior to the conflict. Look at the state of the United States. Look at the state of the world. Look at the region. Look at the IRGC. Look at Israel. I mean, can you not make that discernment for yourself? This has been catastrophic. So,
absolutely.
Also in Asia, the power that Iran has to cause the Asian states to distance themselves from the United States is already.
That's a big one too, because 90% of Asia's energy, guys, comes from the Strait of Hormuz. So South Korea, Japan, they've all had to pretty much kind of figure out what they're going to do. The Japanese guys struck a deal with the Iranians right after leaving the White House. Trump made that dumb Pearl Harbor joke. I don't think that went too well with them.
Yeah, that. And that's only going to grow over time because Asia is ground zero for the economic shock effects that are.
Oh, and then it's a double whammy. Why? Because we pulled like those MEUs units that we put in the region. Guess where we pulled them from? We pulled them from Asia. We pulled them from Japan. So like we're not even fully we're not only we're not protecting our Gulf partners, we're not even able to keep assets in the region to protect our partners in Asia.
And that systems from South Korea as well.
Like South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, they're kind of sitting ducks there with North Korea and China there.
Iran can have with its selective blockade. Then on top of that, when you look at the United States, look at how little power the United States has for its basing structure in the Persian Gulf. We know the United States has bases in Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, but look how vulnerable those bases are, how much they've actually had to stand down operations, and our own aircraft carriers are 1,000 miles away from the Persian Gulf for fear that they will be hit and sunk. What all this adds up to is growing power of Iran, diminishing power of the United States. And on top of all of that, Amy, over the next months and year, there will be $100 billion of oil revenues going into Iran. It will be in Chinese banks.
Yep, they're using the yuan, making an adversary stronger with their currency.
Yep.
Obviously, they're making money with the Strait of Hormuz. Only a few vessels are going through. I think only 2 crossed today, last time I checked, which, usually there's hundreds.
Barely any are crossing, and some of the ones that have crossed are just dry. They don't really have anything in them. So,
absolutely.
To transform that nuclear-enriched material into working nuclear weapons. And if we can't destroy the drones in those deep caves, what makes us think we're really going to stop Iran from becoming a nuclear power in the next 6 months or a year? You add all that up, and Iran will become a nuclear weapons oil hegemon in the near future, in the coming months, coming years. That means it will be the fourth center of world power.
You write it's possible to control the Strait without closing it. Explain how that's occurring.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, when Hegseth and Trump are asked about this, notice how they say the Strait of Hormuz isn't closed.
Intelligence official.
What they're not telling you is that it's closed to the U.S. and like its allies. That's what they don't get, which is what's messing things up.
Full IRGC control, and Caroline Levitt, JD Vance, Donald Trump, they all don't want to admit that, because if they admit that, not only do they show that the ceasefire terms are not being honored, but they're going to have to admit that the IRGC still has control because Israel can't control themselves. So it's just this never-ending cycle of problems.
What they say is the Strait is open, because technically they're not lying by saying that.
Yeah,
it's not, but it's 100% exactly. It's
It's open, and it's making our adversary richer. That's what it's doing.
Yep.
We are watching in real time. Iran is declaring, unless you cooperate with the Iranian military will sink your ship as it goes through the Strait of Hormuz. And that threat has been made credible over 40 days of actually doing that. Just a few days ago, a Kuwaiti oil tanker tried to run the strait. And what happened? It was hit. The French, for the first time in this war, about 2 days ago, first time.
Some idiot named McDinkle said, "You guys are stupid. Iran's economy is going to collapse." Bro, their economy already is collapsed. They have nothing to lose, idiot. Like, bro, you're dude, enjoy the shout run, bro. You stupid, man.
Yeah. See, the problem is, after this is all
this
said,
guy doesn't understand. Like, their economy already crashed in January, bro. They got nothing to lose. Like, that's the problem here.
And their economy's been crashing since 2018, by the way, because we've sanctioned them to hell. So it's not a matter of economic benefit or not. It's the fact that they can strategically step around the U.S. sanctions and make money from the Strait of Hormuz, which we forced them to weaponize against us, and then also prioritize Russia and China as key strategic allies, in which they've been helping them a lot during this conflict. Russian missile hit an F-15, Chinese radar probably aided in that process, so.
Absolutely.
That a European tanker got through. That happened as President Macron announced that France would not participate in any military endeavor to wrestle the Strait of Hormuz from Iran, and would in fact cooperate with Iran. So what you see is cooperation. That is political kowtowing, gets you oil. If you don't do that, you get your ship sunk. And Iran is doing this, has been doing this now for 40 days. So it is a highly credible.
And they're making it a law. They're literally making a law right now. I don't know if Parliament passed it, but they're making it a law where all that they're now going to control and they're going to start charging people.
Instrument of power, and Iran is not likely to surrender it. In all my studies, for 35 years, I have never found a state in the last 300 years.
Yeah, there's no way they're letting it go now, ever. Right? They've been reluctant to close the Strait because they were worried about U.S. aggression, but now they've been able to see that U.S. aggression isn't as bad as they thought it would be.
Yeah,
they've been able to take the hits and survive.
We created a problem out of thin air. We
really did.
Out of thin air. I was saying that for the last 2 weeks. There's like a short on my YouTube channel about it. I said Iran will hang on to the Strait of Hormuz with their life. That's their biggest weapon. You know, if that goes, then they really, like, it'll be days or just weeks until they're toppled. But as long as they can choke the United States and make us feel the pressure economically, why wouldn't they continue to do that? So yeah, 100%. They're never going to let go of that. That's their greatest weapon. That's arguably just as important as the missiles.
Yep.
That has willingly surrendered world power. And that's why the ceasefire is breaking down.
You posted on social media yesterday, quote, "Power isn't just about what you control. It's about what you can put at risk. In a global economy, risk equals power." Explain.
Yeah, so we have, in political science, international relations, we have all our...
This dude right here, Max runs it, you guys should move to Iran if you glaze so much. Bro.
Whatever, bro. Shadow Realm.
Yo, yeah, bro. Enjoy Shadow Realm, bro. Like this dude's name is Max Run Shit. It should be Max is a fucking retard. Like,
yo, and this is me saying the same thing
bro,
just for some self.
Bro has like literally like a world-renowned political scientist here that does deep military analysis and escalation. Wrote books on this. Was an advisor at the White House, and he's over here trying to say like he knows better. It's incredible, bro. It's really incredible how stupid people are.
All the top guys in the space listen to this guy for foundation as to what to speak about. Like, everybody knows if you want to credit or check your credit and check if your source is actually valid or what you're saying lines up with the truth, you refer to Robert Pape. Like, that's just...
Yeah, bro. Like, the people are so stupid. It's like painful, man, how dumb this guy is. Like, you don't have to be pro-military to be able to understand the dynamics of a conflict and be like objective about it. That's what we're doing, being objective about this conflict for you guys.
I'd go even farther, and I'd say if you're against this conflict and you're on the side of wanting the IRGC to stand, then that's actually a pro-American position, because then you understand that if if Israel gains full power in that region, if Iran falls, then we lose a lot of power in that region by being able to actually step in and police and mediate. So if you're pro-American, then you'll actually want the IRGC to stand firm where they are and not be toppled. That's the pro-American position. But a lot of people, they're not ready for that conversation, nor do they have the IQ to occupy such a thought. Go ahead.
Okay.
Raw power. We look at gross domestic product. We look at military forces. We look at nuclear weapons. What all of those static indicators are about, Amy, is the ability of a state to threaten other states, in other words, to make other states vulnerable. What you are seeing with Iran is that it's geography in combination with a level of drone technology that we simply cannot destroy. We can destroy 50% of it, 70% of it, but Iran, thanks to the geography of the Straits, only needs a small amount of offensive power, a small number of drones, a small number of mines, in order to achieve the mission it must achieve to make the countries vulnerable, which is to sink their ships. This is actually quite similar to the Vietnam War, where the Ho Chi Minh Trail, America, through air power, was able to cut 80-90% of the throughput of the Ho Chi Minh Trail, but we could never get the final 10%, and that's why the VC won.
Professor Pape.
That's literally like, air power, right? Yes, it's good, but a lot of the times it won't get you, the full victory because you got to effectuate the regime change. It's hard to do that. And fighting asymmetric warfare is like a nightmare for the U.S., dude.
Your Substack page is called The Escalation Trap. What is that?
The escalation trap is when a strong country, the United States, uses military force, air power that can be tactically successful. Bombs hit targets.
Again, guys, and this is what's called, winning militarily, which me and my brother have been telling you guys for weeks. Yo, They're winning militarily, but right, are they willing? Are they winning strategically? And there's two different worlds.
Bombs kill leaders, but it does not produce strategic success. And that looming prospect of defeat for that power that just launched that attack is what drives that state up the escalation ladder to look for a rung that it will find victory. And that's exactly what you see with Donald Trump. Donald Trump started this war with a essentially 3-day air plan. Yes, he had some backups, but he was telling us this is going to be over in 3 days. Well, instead of causing the regime of Iran to collapse, it got stronger. It is now a more vicious, a stronger regime than before. So he launched the air campaign. Well, the air campaign was supposed to weaken Iran, and we did destroy launchers. But what that did is it allowed Iran to lash back in a horizontal escalation that seized the Strait of Hormuz. Now, after 40 days, Iran hasn't just seized the control of the Strait of Hormuz. It's feeling its power, Amy. It is now using its power. It's learning. This isn't just theoretical power capability. This is real power capability. And you see this with India. India is effectively cooperating with Iran, bowing to Iran, and that's why a number of Indian oil tankers have been able to get through. In the French, I just mentioned, and over time.
And everyone is striking deals with Iran and going around the United States. Like even Macron, like I told you guys before, Macron sided with the Chinese and the Russians to not allow, they basically vetoed military action against Iran for holding onto the Strait, right? So like even our allies are getting alienated because they understand like, oh, we need to reposition our alliances. Like we got Trump here, he doesn't respect us, he doesn't like us, he's always talking crap about Macron. So it's like, until he defended his wife today, of course. But this is reality, guys. Like we are watching global alliances shift right before our very eyes.
Yeah.
Right. We're watching our Gulf partners like question, can these guys really protect us? We're watching our partners in Asia realize that, maybe we're not as big and bad as we say that we are, and that China can actually come in and cause some havoc. South Korea lost their THAAD missiles because we had to take them basically and move them over to the Middle East. So all of these things add up, chat. And this is why I say like all the time, we're not just losing, we're winning this war militarily, but we're losing in so many other ways, economically, politically, diplomatically. These things matter, chat. Right? So when you got these idiots sitting here saying like, smooth brain analysis, like we're totally blowing them up. That's an extremely, extremely stupid way to go about things.
This is going to exert enormous power. Iran will exert enormous power over the states in the Persian Gulf. One of the reasons the Saudis and the UAE are so desperate, but where are they going to go for protection? Donald Trump's nowhere has proven his.
Exactly. He can't do it. So, so this invites protection from the Chinese or from even the Iranians.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing too, is right. And of course we live in a multipolar world right now. Like, look, Russia's very strong. They're a major power. China's very strong. But the pivotal thing that the United States, I think, had over all these other countries, aside from our military might and our spending in the military, is the fact that we had so much influence in the Middle East. I will never let go of that. I continue to harp on it, and I know I beat that point to death a lot, but I don't know if it can be really repeated enough. And so I'll say it ad nauseum. If we don't have strategic partnerships or key allies in these Gulf nations or in the Gulf really as a whole, the United States power structure will fall very quickly, a lot quicker than it would have had we not lost influence in such a pivotal region. Because those countries make a ton of money, not only from their oil, but as well as their tourism. And that's been a world attraction. I mean, Qatar, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia even now. A lot of people seek to go to these places and invest, get involved, real estate, whatever have you. If the United States doesn't have our hands entangled inside of that, well, you can bet on that side of the world, that hemisphere, somebody else will. Another large major world power that has military power or military might will certainly get involved in it, and it won't be us. And even if it is us, we're going to share it with somebody else, and that's the nature of it, right? Trump obviously has a good relationship with Xi Jinping, and so maybe this will graduate to a stage where the United States will share that big power structure with maybe Russia and China. And I mean, ultimately, maybe is that positive from a liberalistic sense? Yeah, but then that hurts something that we never had to really give up, which is that uncontestable, really undeniable power structure where we had the ability to deter and exercise brinksmanship to the fact where if we just had military presence in a region, it was enough to make a country concede. But now in the modern era, the fact that we can't even topple Iran in 40 days, which was anticipated to be 4 or 5 days, according to the administration. If that's not a tell to the fact that the United States is not actually as strong as we seem we are, well, then I don't know what else is. And we're losing to the IRGC strategically. Like, we're not losing to China. We're not losing to Russia. This is Iran. A lot of people couldn't even point to where Iran is on a map until this conflict had started. So these nobodies have now, and it actually is to this level. I know I'm speaking about it from this like Hollywood perspective, but that's how things work optically. These nobodies in the region have now become this big power that can say, we pushed the United States to a ceasefire that they did not want to agree to. That's a big problem. So the fact that we're even in this peace negotiations,
they're 10 points.
Yeah, and we use their 10 points as a foundation. So the fact that we're even in Islamabad right now having talks, and the fact that we sent JD Vance as the guy who's never spoken to them before, desperately pulling at all of our last assets and strings to get Iran to come to the table, we're already at bay to their ability to exercise blockades in the Strait. You know, we're already kind of on our knees in a way, and we've lost all escalation dominance. You know, we've lost all of our ability to really escalate the conflict further and put Iran into a position where they're going to have to delegate diplomacy. Now it's like, hey, all bets are off, and now we realize we can screw you with the Strait. We're going to continue to do it. So, you know, it's just, if you really want to understand why this war is negative, look at all the problems that it created that did not exist prior. There's a lot. You know, there's a laundry list now of problems that would have never existed if we just stayed home.
Yep, absolutely. Like we've inadvertently made them stronger in the long run. Yes, they're getting beat up right now and destroyed right now and losing infrastructure, but in the long run, we've made them stronger.
Protection isn't worth anything. So over time, you will probably...
And they're definitely going to get a nuke now, FYI. They're probably going to work towards a nuke now, by the way, too, on top of making all this money.
See more and more bandwagoning toward Iran. The alternative for those Gulf states, if they don't bandwagon, is Iran will probably topple their governments.
I want to get your response to Defense Secretary
Alex. Thank you so much, man.
And you know what's the thing, too, Myron, that I think about long-term, and this is a lot more long-term. You know, Iran has always said, Khamenei has said in statements, and by the way, I don't like the guy, but he said in statements, when I say death to America, I'm not saying death to the American people. I'm saying that to the American regime and the government. And so, you know, that just leads me to think, if we're to have peace talks now in Islamabad, which is tomorrow, and we cover some sort of ground or whatever, the real underlying issue that will never be able to erase itself is the fact that the IRGC does not trust this administration at all. And there's nothing we can really do to get them to trust us. Stephen Witkoff, Jared Kushner, JD Vance and Trump, Marco Rubio, doesn't really matter. They're not going to really trust us wholeheartedly like they did with Obama. You know, Obama was the last president to really create this good faith relationship where the IRGC could turn around and give us their back and go, we don't really have too much of an issue right now with the United States. We weren't at this Cold War like we are now, which actually is a physical war. And so what worries me is, how can the Trump administration for the next 2 years, really, up until 2028, unless he's impeached, but even till November, how can we hang on from this thin rope and keep the region free of destruction, keep Iran from destroying the Gulf countries, while simultaneously making sure they don't build a nuke, while also trying to open up the Strait of Hormuz? Like, how are we going to fix all these issues until 2028? Because the only point in where I think the IRGC would go, okay, we'll let go of the Strait, or okay, we'll give you a nuclear deal, is if a different leader is in office. Because what did Trump do systematically? His last term, he destroyed the Iranian nuclear deal. He killed all the leaders, and now he's at war with them. So this administration is in hell for them. This administration, it's done. There has to be a new leader behind the country for Iran to actually concede to a point that will help us, right? Like no nuclear, no Strait of Hormuz, slow down on the missiles. If another leader is in office, that's the only way they would concede. No way they're going to do it under the Trump admin. So how do we now kind of juggle all of these problems at the same time? We got the nuke issue, we got the missiles issue, we got the Hormuz issue, we got the Gulf issue. And by the way, the Gulf issue limits us from being able to exercise the power plant issue, which is we'll hit their power plants, we'll hit their oil facilities, we'll hit whatever is critical for civilian infrastructure. If they do that, we can bet our ass there's mutually assured destruction coming the other direction, westward towards the Gulf. And by the way, I guarantee you Iran has a big, nice red button that they'll hit that has missiles aimed at every single piece of critical oil infrastructure or pipelines in the Gulf region. And so we know we can't even exercise that step. You know, top to bottom, the more you talk about it, the worse it seems to get. But how can this administration hang on? That's what I'm really worried about. How can we hang on and not have them make a nuke in the next, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months? That's going to be hard, you know? So
yeah.
JD Vance is really going to have to pull magic out of his ass for the IRGC to actually give us a deal that we can give to Israel and say, hey, look, stop bitching, okay? We got them under control for now. No way. I don't see it happening.
Absolutely. Here we go. And I'll be on for a little bit longer because I do got to get going and ready for this shit. But
speaking after the ceasefire was announced.
Hold on. Huge super chat. Living Life, thank you so much for the 200. He says, I like how people try to tell you what they think, but you guys researched it and they can't read a book. W Ryad, W Myron. Yeah, man. It's like, dude, all I'm doing all day, I'm either at work being a Matrix master, or I'm like literally taking notes at work, watching the news, reading the news. Like, that's all I'm doing so I can make sure my facts are straight for you guys. And then people come in the chat and say, but actually nothing, dumbass. Like, I've looked at this top to bottom. So thank you so much for the 200. 07s in the chat to this guy. And W's for him. Living Life, I really appreciate the love. And then one more, sorry, bro. Mark Cedeno says, I've been seeing lots of posts on this. The next target is Turkey, who is a part of NATO, which if Israel attacks, it will invoke Article 5. Yeah. Look, Netanyahu's kind of flirted with the idea, and I know that's what a lot of people are saying, but that's definitely a problem that we have to worry about way later. Right now, Iran is a long-winded conflict. So the whole Turkey question, the whole Pakistan question, that's definitely something that, you know, will be spoken about once this is over. But you're right, but I think that's a lot more long-term. Go ahead.
Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. A capital V military victory.
So I want to get your response to that, especially in light of you writing, imagine Iran with control of about 20% of the world's oil, Russia with about 11%, and China able to soak up much of that supply. They would form a cartel to deny the West 30% of the...
Mr. Ferdinand, 07 to you, my brother. Jumped on late. Hey, bro, you're here. Who cares? God bless. Thank you for the super chat.
Is a victory narrative, but it's meeting escalation reality. The reality is Iran is far stronger than it was just 40 days ago. It is in control of 20% of the world's oil. It is now an emerging fourth center of power, and the other centers of power are not all competing with each other. The United States is on one side, and the rivals are China, Russia, and now Iran. And even if those three rivals don't form a NATO-like integrated command structure, they will structurally, just because of the nature of the power balance, they will structurally end up.
And that's going to be a very strong counterbalance to the United States. And it's going to lead to more de-dollarization, which is another big issue that you guys don't understand.
Yes.
Like, this is going to strengthen the currencies of those countries who are our adversaries because they have so much influence and power on energy structure. So shutting down the Strait of Hormuz is, and having the ability to do that is actually going to strengthen the rial. Also strengthen the Chinese yuan and the ruble.
Yeah. And the yuan saw increases on like day 2. Like the yuan has been going up since this conflict was birthed, you know, and that's the other scary part, this shadowy Arab NATO. Like, people are not paying attention. The Muslim world is actually uniting a little bit more than I think people have led themselves to believe. You got Turkey now kind of working with Egypt, Saudi Arabia kind of working with Pakistan. These countries were not alienated from each other, but rather separate diplomatically. And so now that they've come together in this alliance, you know, you've got Egypt and Turkey and Qatar. They all have kind of been working some feigned diplomacy ever since the strikes in Qatar. The strikes in Qatar by Israel is what really started everything and opened the eyes in the region as to the fact that, wow, the United States really cannot control these people at all. Before, it was kind of like, you know, the dog would come off the leash every once in a while and they would bite and then we get the leash back. But now it's like the dog's been off the leash for a month and we don't know what we're doing. And so a lot of these Arab countries or these Muslim nations have built this like pact, this shadow pact that I think eventually will materialize into something on paper. I think there's going to be this big, strong Arab League, one that we've never seen before, one that's going to coincide closer with the Eastern powers, not the Western. And that's a grave reality a lot of people need to pay closer attention to. That can really hurt, again, the power structure of the United States. And that's the foundation of which me and my brother are talking of concern from. It's our power here at home.
Yep. And it wasn't necessary to put ourselves in this thing. Base 6 says Iran's is taking BTC to cross the Hormuz, no more cash. Makes sense.
Tacitly or explicitly working together. And as you just explained in my op-ed, I lay out a very plausible scenario. With Iran's 20% of the world's oil, Russia has 11%. Why exactly are they not going to work together at some point in the near future to cut that, to deny that 30% of the world's oil to Europe, to the West, and essentially let China soak up that oil? This will be tremendous leverage they will wield, and unless we start to recognize that, this may become a reality, because that's 30% of the world's oil is a tremendous amount.
Yep.
And you want to know something
huge.
as well? You want to know something as well? China, if I'm not mistaken, gets about half of their oil from the Gulf countries, about 50%. The other 20 or 30% is delegated from Iran, and then whatever else is left after that. And so now, who's to say that during or after this conflict, China doesn't go to the Gulf countries and say, hey, if we militarily support you, then that for sure keeps you safe from Iran, because Iran is a strategic ally of China. So Chinese protection actually gives the Gulf countries a much more likely guarantee that they won't be involved in a conflict again. The American protection cannot offer the same value. That's another thing too.
That's exactly what I was saying. Like we can get rid of these American bases, have the Chinese set up. They have, a big military as well. They have nukes. That's all we really need. We just need deterrence.
Just deterrence.
And they're pragmatic and they're good business partners. They'd rather invest than start wars. So we're going to go with them.
Of pressure, and even America won't be able to escape the consequences of that.
Is there a way out of the escalation trap right now? And can you comment on what's about to take place?
Going to be very difficult.
You have Vice President Vance headed from Hungary to Islamabad to join with Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to negotiate with Iran.
Well, there are only two ways to settle this. One on the battlefield, that's the escalation trap. The other at the negotiating table. The problem with the negotiating table is that given Iran's surge in power, the price...
They're not going to concede on the things they used to concede anymore.
Get Iran to even give up a sliver or half of that power is going up and going up and going up. So the deals that were on offer on February 27th simply are not going to be enough. Iran already wanted its 3.5% enriched uranium on February 27th. Well, notice now it has...
They're definitely not going to, hell no. They're going to fight to enrich uranium, and they're probably going to work towards a nuclear program too, regardless.
More power, so it's not going to go back to the old...
North Korea has been vindicated to the max with their nuclear program. The world tried to stop them, and there was all this aggression, but now look, they're safe. Why? Because they have nuclear weapons.
The old deal. The one card that could be played that would really matter, I believe, get Iran's attention, would be a enforceable military containment of Israel. You see, Iran...
That's a good one. That would be difficult to contain them. Joe Kent said that as well, is that you need to restrain the Israelis.
Clearly, it wants
But that's
protection.
often, if you really know, now see, this is the next step in kind of, oh man, I've got to be really arbitrary here due to YouTube, but this is the next step in understanding global affairs. That's also not happening, okay?
Yeah.
I'll just say it, okay? That's not happening. So for his sake, just to be political and politically correct, of course, this guy is educated, and so that's diplomatically and news-facingly what he's saying is right. Yeah, you militarily contain Israel. That's the only logical point if you're to not exercise the other two political off-ramps. But we all know that's not possible. Not possible, especially for the remainder of 2026, 7, and 2028. This administration will never exercise such an option. We can't even condemn them striking Lebanon after a ceasefire, which is why the global oil market is still pressurized.
Yep.
That it won't be attacked in the future by from both the United States and Israel. Well, you might think the United States has gotten enough of a black eye here, it might back off. Israel's a completely different story, as your previous stories were just laying out. So a true military containment of Israel, possibly even Israel joining the NPT and having to accept that there's on-site...
Ken Rose, let's go, $5. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much. God bless.
The nuclear and material production facilities at Dimona. Now we're talking. But if that's not politically possible, if we say that's just not ever going to happen, then how else are you really going to get out of the trap? What would you give Iran to surrender world power? I don't think they're going to take a sucker deal at this point.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe.
Spot on.
All right, guys. So, Ryad, I'm gonna move everybody over to watch you. Guys, go check out my brother, his YouTube channel. It's let me pull it up right here for you guys, so you guys can easily go to it. 'Cause I got to get ready for after hours and stuff. You just type in Ryad's report. Boom. Hell, I spelled that. Sorry.
Almost at 20K subs, guys. So I really appreciate
the 20K. He's live right here. Here's the stream. Let me pull it up right here. Give you guys the link. Go check him out, guys. I'll be we'll start after hours around 11, guys. I just got to run and take care of some stuff. But love you, ninjas. There it is. Go check it out. I will yeah. And go check him out right now. He's going to continue on with the broadcast and everything else like that. Give the video a like, etc. Ryad, I'll see you, bro.
See you, bro. Peace.
Love you guys. Peace.
All right. What's up, everybody? I know the chat's not working on the screen. I don't know how to fix it. It's being stupid. So let me go ahead and try to remedy this while everybody's moving over. Bear with me one moment. Go on Streamlabs and fix this. IT tech support. Let's see. Might be able to cram a fix. I want the chat on screen, man. It looks better. It is better to do it that way, and so I want to make sure I'm being fair here. Try one more time. I tried earlier. If it doesn't work, we'll get on with the news. I'm going to show you guys both of the plans that they're going to discuss tomorrow, by the way, in Pakistan. So I'm going to show you the United States' 15-point plan. We saw that at the end of March. And then I'm going to show you Iran's brand new 10-point proposal, which, by the way, there's been different ones floating around, and JD Vance had commented on that on the tarmac outside of Air Force One. He said, well, there's different ones, but the one that we agreed to had nothing to do with Lebanon. But Pakistan and Iran both said that the United States conceded to a ceasefire in Lebanon. So we'll look at that and see what we can make of it. But let me see if I can get this stupid chat to work. Copy. All right, let's see. If I get this to work, you guys really gotta glaze me, because this is gonna be impressive. Okay. Okay. Come on. All right, chat, spam something. Come on. Okay, super chat. Lotus, yo, Ryad07, glad to catch you in, big bro. Hey, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. W, all the people from Myron's Kickstream. All right, bro. We ain't getting no chat. IT tech is not in service today. It's so annoying, dog. Unfortunate turn of events. Okay, anyways. So, yeah, no, it's not working, guys. It's not working. It's okay. You can stop spamming. So sad. Yo, this is OBS, bro. I swear I did nothing. I didn't do it. I didn't, like, bro. You know? Trying to run a high-quality stream here. Whatever. Okay. I won't bore you guys to death by trying to exercise my IT skills, because clearly they're not that good. So we'll just get into the damn show. We'll get into the show. Okay, so me and my brother actually covered a lot of what I was going to talk about in regards to the peace plan, so I'm glad he came on. That was awesome. Always fun doing the show with him. It's easier, man. It's so much easier. You guys don't get it, you know, and I'm not doing that. You don't get it. But, like, you know, I always thought when I was watching a stream, and I'll make this tangent quickly, I'll get into everything, but when you're watching a stream, you're like, how hard is it to just, you know, talk about what's going on? You know, you study, you read up, you understand these things, but, you know, when the cameras are on and the lights are on and the chat's moving, a little bit of pressure. So not that I struggle with it or anything like that. Of course, I stream by myself all the time, but when you have somebody else doing the stream with you, man, it's so nice, because you guys can just bounce off of each other, pause, haram, and you guys can kind of add to one another's thoughts. You know, somebody says something that you didn't think of, and now you're going to say something that you forgot to say. And so it's nice. And of course, it's my brother. So me and my brother just have a lot of chemistry. We always talk on the phone and just flow about these kinds of things and whatever have you. Of course, we're like the same person in a different body. Same DNA effectively. But it's always W's when we can do it together. But when it's a one-man show, I'll try my best. I'll try my best to carry it. Okay, so just so you guys know, this is the, This is the 10-point plan or the 15-point plan that was proposed by the United States to kind of end the war, whatever. These are some things that the United States actually conceded to, and then these are some asks from the U.S. as well. So let me go ahead and enlarge this for you guys so you can see it a little bit better. And I'll make my screen a little bit bigger as well. So if you haven't seen this already, this is the most consistent list I've seen. I say that because 2 weeks ago, Carolyn Levitt was asked what the 15-point plan actually consists of, and she didn't even give a straight-up answer. And I think there's a benefit of kind of misconstruing it, but I think this is the actual one here. So it reads, number 1, removal of all sanctions on Iran, U.S. assistance in advancing and developing a civilian nuclear project. Number 3, removal of a threat of sanctions being reimposed. Iran's nuclear program is frozen under a defined framework. Number 5, enriched uranium to remain, but under supervision and agreed limits. That's what we had with the IAEA with Barack Obama, the Iranian nuclear deal in 2016. And that lasted up until 2018. It was a 10 or 15-year deal. I can't remember. But it halted uranium enrichment to about 3.67%, which is nowhere near the weaponizing level, as well as the fact that we made it kind of spread out their infrastructure in regards to nuclear enrichment. The scientists were supervised heavily. The IAEA, the International Agency for Atomic Energy, had said that the scientists in Iran was actually, very easy to work with in the process. They didn't give a hard time. They were compliant, and so if you have the IAEA, right? These people are responsible for supervising and paying attention to nuclear programs globally. If you have them saying that Iran was working with us every step of the way, again, this is the International Atomic Energy Agency. I mean, who else would release such a statement? They have no vested interest in making Iranians look good. If they are saying that Iran was working with us, well, then we're just asking for a repeat stipulation that we had prior. Do you get it? Trump is saying, well, the deal is bad, and that's why he got rid of the deal in 2018. But now you're proposing a deal that's arguably worse than the deal that we had in regards to the nuclear enrichment. So it's kind of silly. But anyways, number 6, missile program to be addressed at a later stage with limits on quantity and range. Again, that's not going to happen. Iran's nuclear program is one thing, but their missiles program is everything. And that's because they actually exercise that to protect themselves. The missiles are why they exist right now. The nuclear enrichment, not so much. However, that may be the necessary next step so they can guarantee their existence. That's why they've been hedging a nuke. You hedge a nuke, meaning you have all the parts assembled and you can do it at any time, but you don't do it, exercising caution, of course, and not breaking international law or whatever have you. But you have it in front of you to show you're not to be messed with. You're a force to be reckoned with. But the ballistic missiles program, that's a different story, because during Operation Rising Lion, which was Israel's surprise attack on Iran back in the summer last year, Iran was able to effectively defend themselves with that missiles and drones program. And so if they limit that, well then, again, I've said that many times, it's like cutting your own hands off and being asked to fight. You cannot do it. And that's a necessary right they have. They earn those missiles because they create a lot of them in-house. The drones, same thing. They fund them. They self-fund them despite our sanctions on them. So it's a ridiculous ask. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. That's probably the most insane ask, and they will never come to the table. I mean, is JD Vance really going to step up to the table tomorrow and go, you got to get rid of the missiles after they just whooped the whole region's ass with those missiles? No, absolutely not. So, again, I'm just highlighting why this plan, I'm highlighting why they're not going to be able to see eye to eye. Both sides have maximalist framework. Both sides want things the opposing sides don't want. It's just not going to work, And that's why in the 2-step, 3-step process we had where we were in talks with them back in February, it just resulted in war, bro, because it's not going to work long term. To continue on, it says for 7, use of nuclear programs restricted to civilian/defensive purposes only. Development of existing nuclear capabilities halted. Number 9, no further expansion of enrichment capabilities. Number 10, no production of weapons-grade nuclear material on Iranian soil. Number 11, all enriched material to be handed over to the IAEA with an agreed timeline. Number 12, Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordo to be taken out of use, destroyed. Again, those are their nuclear sites or facilities. That's probably also not going to happen. That's a maximalist demand. You can't start here. You got to start at some of these things earlier in the plan. Number 13, international monitoring and verification mechanisms enforced. Again, we had that with the JCPOA. Number 14, gradual implementation tied to compliance. Again, that was a reality of the JCPOA. That was like a shadow stipulation. If the JCPOA was honored for the timeline in which it was set for, Don't you think that the next president coming in could have told Iran, hey, okay, we just had the nuclear deal. Look, we've done diplomacy with you. We've released our sanctions. Your government has been able to flourish. Your economy primarily has been able to flourish. The people are not as upset with the government. And so your country's doing better. Can you now come to the table and just get rid of everything? And that was realistic. But now to get to that stage again, it's not going to happen with Trump. As I'm saying, any sort of diplomacy with Iran that will result in us completely nullifying their military capability is highly unlikely, because that's what's kept them alive for so long. And if it does happen, it ain't happening until 2028. Can bet you that. Unless Trump is impeached. But even then, again, just this whole administration, the GOP as a whole, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Okay? And then additional regional and security understandings between the parties, whatever. So that's kind of the broadened view of the the United States' 15-point plan. Let's see Iran's or Tehran's 10-point plan. And this one seems to be what was proposed that prompted or kind of motivated Donald Trump to release his statement on Truth Social on what I believe was Monday at around 6 p.m. Eastern, which was the fact that him and Iran will come to an agreement on the 10-point plan as a foundation, not a full agreement, but a foundation, okay? So I'll pull that up for you guys right here. And by the way, just so you know I'm not lying, here's a Truth Social post. This is Trump, and he says, based on conversations with the prime minister, whatever, all of these people in Pakistan, but go over later a little bit, and he says, we received a 10-point proposal plan from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. That's important. Remember that for what I'm about to show you right now, and also remember that for later in these talks tomorrow. So this is the 10-point plan, kind of the most likely one from what Iran and Pakistan is currently saying. So take a look. This reads as it follows here. Number 1, guarantee that Iran will not be attacked again. Number 2, permanent end to war, not just a ceasefire. Number 3, end to Israeli strikes in Lebanon. By the way, Pakistan acknowledged this was a part of the 10-point peace plan, and they're brokering this peace plan. So the party that's mediating both of the enemies, both of the adversaries, that being Iran and the United States, the party in the middle trying to fix such an issue, that being, of course, Pakistan, has actually accepted or explicitly stated, in which I've read in several places online, that Iran did ask for the United States to not strike. Iran did ask for the United States and Israel to not strike Lebanon. That was real. That wasn't a lie. And then you got JD Vance saying they never asked that. You got Trump saying they never said that. Yes, they did. So that's what scares me here. Okay. Number 4, lifting of all U.S. sanctions. Number 5, end to regional fighting. Number 6, Iran would reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Number 7, though, and there's a caveat, Iran would open and impose a $2 million fee per ship transiting the Strait of Hormuz. So they'd make money off the strait. And again, as me and my brother just stated, and from Robert Pape's statements as well, I mean, do you think that they won't weaponize the strait anymore? Do you think that they won't economically use it? Hey, look, if the United States is going to impose sanctions on us, why not use this strait to make money? Logical line of thinking here. Okay, so we'll keep going. Iran would split fees with Oman. If you didn't know previously, Oman controlled, I think, 20% of the strait, and Iran had hegemony over the other 80%. And it's really small. It's about 20 miles from the widest point to the wide, or at its widest point, it's about 20 miles or 21 miles. Okay. Continues on here. Iran would establish rules for safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran would use the Hormuz fees for reconstruction instead of the United States directly giving them or funding them reparations for all of the infrastructure that we destroyed in this 40-day conflict. Okay. So again, these are both sides and what they want to work from meeting tomorrow. You tell me if this is really going to go anywhere. I hate to be a Debbie Downer. I hate to be patronizing. I hate to be derisive. I hate to be super pessimistic and negative, but I'm just reading between the lines here. And at this point, this conflict has gone on for 40 days. If you weren't listening to me before or in January, maybe you should just take me up on my bet. I don't think this is going to last. I don't. Cage CG says, not much I know, but every mickle makes a muckle. Thanks for the awesome analysis. Hey, thank you so much, man. God bless. Appreciate that. Thanks for the $10. Peter Dickham Town. the profile picture. He says, Laura Loomer ate my foreskin. All right, bro. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing? You paid money to tell me that, bro? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Anyways, okay. That's a real super chat. I didn't make that up. Anyways, okay. So yeah, that's that. And you can bet your ass that's probably not going to go anywhere. And check this out. So this is a statement from Iran, I believe. I didn't even get to read this before stream. This was new to me. So I'm checking it out for the first time as you guys. But this is from the Iranian parliament. I'm like not knowing where to put myself here. Okay. Statement on the violation of 3 key clauses of the 10-point proposal, which was the agreed framework before the start of the negotiations. The deep historical distrust we hold towards the United States stems from its repeated violations of all forms of commitments, a pattern that has regrettably been repeated once again. As the President of the United States has clearly stated in his Truth Social post, I think they meant to put, the Islamic Republic of Iran's 10-point proposal is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Hello? I just showed you guys he said that. Where is it? Right here. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis. Okay? Here's Iran acknowledging that again. He lied. However, 3 clauses of this proposal have been violated. Non-compliance with the first clause of the 10-point proposal regarding the ceasefire in Lebanon. All right, so we know that's not cap. Number 2, the entry of intruding drone into Iran airspace, which has destroyed the city of Lars in Fars province in clear violation of the clause prohibiting any further violation of Iran's airspace. So a drone attack. Number 3, denial of Iran's right to enrichment, which was included in the 6th clause of the framework. Now, we have to be gracious to the Trump administration here. Look, the drone thing, who cares? The nuclear enrichment, who cares? The Lebanon thing, that's unacceptable. That's what I'd say, as somebody looking at both sides being fair and charitable here. Because, and I said this before I joined my brother, but a lot of you probably are new here, or new to the stream, or new to this stream, and so I'll say it again. You would think that the United States would be able to at least honor the most acceptable point at face value, that being ceasefire in Lebanon. Obviously, this is a ceasefire in and of itself. Inherently, the idea of a ceasefire, I know I'm kind of being super basic political one-on-one at nauseum here, but the point of a ceasefire is to cease fire. So if a stipulation within such a ceasefire says to cease fire on Lebanon, you would think that could be honored. And so that's why I'm worried that this conflict will drag on. Now, I know it was Israel, but then again, where was Washington's condemnation against Israel? If what Israel did was so grave, and it was, well then where's JD Vance to say, what the fuck are they doing? Donald Trump said during the 12-day war, I don't know what the hell they think they're doing. They need to stop. And, you know, he's condemned the attacks in Qatar by Israel. Donald Trump has always exercised the ability to vaguely condemn Israel for shit they shouldn't have been doing. Okay, he's had that ability. I'll give him that. Where is it now? You got to let the Iranian delegation see that you're condemning Israel's attacks so we can show there's some sort of separation. Because when Israel does something that we agreed for them not to do, and then we don't reprimand them for that, it shows they have full control over us. And by the way, that's strategically and intelligently and brilliantly the whole point of IRGC and the IRGC kind of introducing this clause. It's to show the world that we cannot control Israel. What conflict? Actually, there's a lot. But a lot of people don't know about previous conflicts. So in modern history, what situation has displayed we can't control Israel worse than this one? Which one? Because with Gaza, at least they were able to weaponize October 7th. At least they were able to weaponize Hamas. But with this conflict, we struck first, completely. It was a preemptive attack, by the way, in the words of Marco Rubio, because we knew Israel would strike first. He said that. He said that in the beginning about the first week into this war, or second week. So this conflict really displays we cannot control Israel. And that's what the IRGC wants to show the world. That's why NATO is kind of slowly drifting away. And Donald Trump is not helping by calling them paper tigers on Truth Social. Donald Trump is not helping. Pete Hegseth is not helping by condemning them. And Caroline Leavitt has now joined the NATO hate train. What are you hating on NATO because they don't want to die for Israel? That's a bad standpoint. That's a bad foundation and framework to work from. So, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, I'm hoping that we can cover some ground tomorrow. I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but it's kind of highly unlikely, you know, and if we do, it's short-lived. And by the way, amidst all of this chaos currently happening, check out what Fox News, a pro-MAGA outlet, had to say about everything today in regards to the Strait of Hormuz.
An Israeli intelligence official tells Fox News Iran is indeed demanding fees for the few vessels it's allowing to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. This official adds the Strait is effectively under full IRGC control. They decide who gets to go through, but more importantly, who doesn't. An Israeli intelligence...
Come on, bro. How much, and do you trust this administration? How much have they lied? You know, Pete Hegseth said, we destroyed a lot of their launch pads. Clearly not, because a launch pad was responsible for the F-15 falling out of the sky. We destroyed a bunch of their infrastructure. We destroyed all this and that, and we toppled the Navy, and we toppled the Air Force. Really, they still have the speedboats. They still have the parts of the Navy that are critical for planting the mines in the water that deter the vessels from passing through and delivering critical oil to Asia and Europe. So no, we actually haven't done much besides level some of Tehran to the ground, kill 2,000 plus civilians, and bomb a school, and later lie about it on Air Force One. That's from Trump. And then later our intelligence says, sorry, it was faulty intelligence. Do you think this administration's in control? Of course they're not. So what would an administration that's responsible for all the things I just categorically listed and then showed you by supplied evidence do tomorrow in a peace talk with opposing maximalist demands from either side? I don't think they have this under control. They really don't. And I don't know if this conflict will ever kind of weather over or diffuse until a new leader is in office, because Trump has completely eradicated his ability to debate or really negotiate in good faith. They're not going to trust him again. Anyways, let's see what our boy, I'm a numbers guy, is saying. Let's check out Patrick Bet-David. Zachary Trevino says, maybe at negotiations we can offer Israel only gets protection from us if attacked unprovoked and make them sign up to get their nukes inspected. Dude, in a better world, absolutely. But in a real world, hell no. Thank you for the $5. No. No chance. No chance. Israel, and here's, you know what, you bring up a good point, or you remind me of a good point here. If the IRGC is to concede to any sort of U.S. maximalist demand tomorrow at 10 a.m., it will probably only be under the underlying framework that Israel has to be under control. Like, hey, we'll militarily blockade Israel. Hey, we'll condemn Israel for their attacks. Hey, we won't support Israel militarily when they attack people unprovokingly or whatever. We cannot do that for obvious reasons. For obvious reasons that I don't want to get too deep into on YouTube, but you can kind of make that discernment yourself. We can't. We can't really involve Israel. And that's probably what the IRGC would love to hear, because the IRGC, Abbas Araghchi, Mohammed Ghalibaf, the parliament speaker, and then the Minister of Foreign Affairs, both of them know Israel controls us like a dog on a leash. And so if they were to hear maybe to the fact that we'll concede with some sort of control on Israel, we'll kind of put a cap on their autonomy in the region, we'll hold them accountable for some of these things, well, then they'd probably actually be willing to talk, because they know they're the people who dragged us into this war in the first place. But of course, we know that's a no-go zone. And J.D. Vance has got to play a careful line here. Remember, in the midst of all this, J.D. Vance now has to appease the tooth parties. He has to make sure he's not upsetting the Young America First crowd, the anti-war crowd, the Megyn Kellys, the Tucker Carlsons, the Groypers. He has to make sure that he doesn't piss them off. But at the same time, he has to make sure that he doesn't piss Israel off. It's very simple. How is he going to exercise, or how is he going to maintain that framework in negotiations where he's going to have to pick a side to effectuate peace? To effectuate peace, he's going to have to pick a side here. You do realize that, right? Because what the IRGC wants to hear is not what Israel wants to hear. But what the IRGC wants to hear is what America First wants to hear. Do you get it? And what America First wants to hear is not what Israel wants to hear. It's a never-ending issue of overlapping contradictions that will put him in a position where he's going to have to take a side and arbitrarily answer things in a way where you'll never actually figure out his framework or his foundational standpoint. So for him, he's in a tough position as well, Because let's say he goes to Pakistan tomorrow. He's already there. Let's say he comes to the table tomorrow during these negotiations and he says, we're going to put a control strain on Israel. We're going to make sure we restrain them. We're going to stop them from annexing the West Bank. They will no longer attack southern Lebanon. We'll put it in writing. Give us the Strait. You think that's going to roll over well for his 2028 presidency? He will not win. He'll get no money. And if he says the opposite, if he says, well, I'm not going to involve Israel in this, but you've got to give up enrichment, you've got to give up the missiles, and then we'll stop attacking, and then maybe you can make a little money on the Strait, Iran's going to go, absolutely not. Why? So you can turn around and destroy us when we disarm? But that's the plan. That's the type of talking. That's the style of negotiation Israel wants. Being a negotiator for the United States right now is hell. It's hell. It's not an easy position to be in. So to me, it doesn't really matter who's going to Islamabad. It's all for nothing. It's all for nothing. I don't mean to be patronizing. I don't mean to be this guy like, negative warmonger, but, hey, wake the fuck up. You got to wake the fuck up. I don't think it's really going to change anything. So.
Can we go into...
So this is Patrick Bet-David. Now, I've been ripping on our boy PBD a lot recently, and of course everybody's disappointed in him. But we're going to rip on him some more. So this is his clip from his podcast. He says, why Iran is so dangerous. Quote, the IRGC is a different religion than ours. They don't look at the same way we do it. Okay, that's a typo. I think he meant to say world. They don't look at the world the same way we do it. They don't look at the religion the same way we do. They look at it as this pride. IRGC, if I get killed, this is pride. My prophet's going to be happy with me. Ugh. Just slop. Just slop. Who else is tired of him? Ugh. It's going to be a painful watch. It's going to be a hard watch. I'm not guaranteeing I'll let this play through. Actually, I'm not. I'm just not going to let it play through. I'm going to have to interject at some points here, but we'll give our numbers guy a chance. We'll give numbers guy a chance.
To Iran and get...
Hang on. Turn the volume up for you guys. I know that's a bit low.
This thing knocked out of the way.
Still low. All right. Started from the top here. All right. Cortisol release. We're good. We're good.
How fast can we go into Iran and get this thing knocked out of the way? And who do you think was in that meeting? Probably Bibi. That's the New York Times story. And let me go through this, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Perfect
So
segue.
for me, that meeting took place.
Yep, you're right.
And in that meeting, here's the problem. That I feel his frustration.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the frustration I feel for him is the following. And I want you to tear apart my argument.
Go for it.
If you want to find anything that you find leaks, tear it apart.
Oh, this is good. Oh, my God. He shouldn't have said that. Hey, he shouldn't have said that. First come, first serve. Right here at your service. Mr. Bet-David. No problem. I've not watched this, by the way. Swear to God, I haven't watched this. Guarantee you he's going to make a terrible argument. Guarantee you.
Okay? I have a feeling in that moment he sat there and he's like, you're telling me this is going to be a quick operation? Yes, we're going to go in, we're going to wipe out the 50 leaders, and they're going to be so scared, they're going to come out and they're going to do this, and it's going to be done, and we're going to go in Venezuela, maybe a little bit tougher, but we need 2 to 4 weeks. Are you sure? Bibi's like, Mr. President, the intel we have with Mossad, we are scored away. This is going to be easier than we think.
Yeah, that's true. Bibi definitely sold him the lie that this would be faster than it would. That's why he said it'd be a couple weeks at best. So yeah, 100%.
And then he says, so, okay, great. You think? Yes. Heck said yes. Are we all on the same? These guys are not. Fire those 3 generals. What did that person say?
And I can guarantee you, by the way, maybe Hegseth, because he's just grateful to Trump to actually exist within the administration given his past, but several members from the Joint Chiefs of Staff, several members under the Secretary of War, probably all said, Mr. President, I don't know what Benjamin Netanyahu told you. I don't know what he's thinking. He's a retard. Anybody who works in intelligence, in the intelligence community, across the IC, knows this war is catastrophic. Anybody who has any tiny remembrance of knowledge into regards to the region, first of all, Iran's terrain is terrible. It's worse than Iraq's. Secondly, it's 4 times the size of Iraq. Thirdly, they have an advanced military. Okay, fourthly, they have a drone and missiles program that's better than everybody else in the region. They also are enriching uranium 100 fucking feet under the ground. They also have mosaic defense, meaning if you kill leadership, they can still operate autonomously of the leadership and attack other countries, which they just did. Okay? And to put the cherry on top, they have a civilian population that has a rally around the flag mentality because they've been oppressed for several years via U.S. sanctions and U.S. military aggression, like the killing of Qasem Soleimani, like the killing of Hassan Nasrallah. So yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu may have advised Trump that this would be quick, but every single key piece of the IC community, anybody who had half a brain in the White House, in this administration and outside of it, told Donald Trump, Mr. President, this is a very, very bad idea. Actually, Donald Trump got an intelligence go-ahead. This came out of the Pentagon on like the 5th day of the war. Donald Trump got an intelligence tip that this war would not be a fast one and it would eventually have to reach a boots-on-ground stage. Did you know that? You can fact check me on that. That was reported in several mainstream outlets. So let me get this straight. We're going to give Trump the excuse, or we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, because a warmongering dumbass who's wanted by the ICC for just killing 100,000 plus people, half of them being kids, is now coming to the White House for the 7th time in your short presidency thus far, and is telling you a war with the most formidable power in the Middle East will be 4 or 5 days, at most 2 weeks. And now we're giving Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. And I don't know that's what PBD is doing right now, but a lot of people are saying this could be the reason he was misled by Israel. Yeah, but he had certified U.S. intelligence in his corner that could tell him better than Benjamin Netanyahu that this was a bad idea, yet he still entered the war. There's no excuse for this. What, because Benjamin Netanyahu says we can destroy them in a couple of... Benjamin Netanyahu also said Hamas beheaded 50 babies. That was debunked. Benjamin Netanyahu also says there was no genocide in Gaza. The world disagrees. Benjamin Netanyahu also says Iran targets civilians only in Israel. Iran are warmongers. Iran is terrorists. Yet every single conflict between the two nations is always started by Israel. You know, Benjamin Netanyahu is wanted in like 50 countries for war crimes. Is he the standard for information? What, because he's got connections to Mossad? Who's to trust Mossad? They have their own benefit in mind. They don't actually serve the United States intelligence community for the purpose of giving the U.S. heads up. Didn't Mossad know about the 9/11 attacks, actually? Didn't they know about the Beirut bombing? Hello? Didn't they know about several attacks that were to come and never gave us the heads up? Did you know that? So now the Mossad is the standard for protection. Now they're the ones who are going to give us intel. They give us intel so we can help them. Duh. Doesn't take a scientist to figure that out. The bar is low. Oh, Benjamin Netanyahu said to do this and do that. The bar is low. This is the president of the United States of fucking America. This is the leader of the world. We're going to listen to a war criminal who has attachments to an intelligence agency that never gives us go-aheads or heads up about terrorist attacks on our soil. That's who we're listening to. The guy who created the term Islamic terrorism in the 80s and the 90s and proposed it to Washington. The guy who got 1 million standing ovations in Congress for condemning the Iranian nuclear deal that guaranteed peace in the Middle East for several years, something that China, Russia, and the EU were all on board with, by the way, but he wasn't, so he's the right guy.
Hey, put the Tulsi outside. She can't be on the inside. So then the president in that moment, this is the burden of being a president. This is a hard job.
The burden of being a president. You tell Netanyahu, get the fuck out my office. This is where it's gotten to as a nation. This is where the United States has gotten to the point where you're burdened because Benjamin Netanyahu is making a request. Did you know that Benjamin Netanyahu asked the last 5 sitting presidents to bomb Iran? They all said no. Overwhelmingly, all of them were not on board for that. If Bibi comes into the White House and he says, hey, George Bush, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Maybe he'll concede. Same thing with Obama, same thing with Biden. And so I get that. But every single time Bibi Netanyahu asked Bush and asked Obama and asked Biden to bomb Iran, they said, that's the red line. You're too far now. I will not do that. That's beyond the pale. Why? Because they all knew it would start a regional conflict. Why? Because they listened to their intelligence assets. Dummy. Donald Trump was the first guy to listen to Bibi and not his IC. Donald Trump is also the first president to probably get impeached in recent history. Or actually, I think ever, if I'm right, ever. So it's like, what do you mean? Obama said no, Biden said hell no, and Bush said hell no. CIA officers, former CIA assets have come out and said this, and former CIA agents have come out and said Bibi was begging the United States to bomb Iran for years. And that's obvious because he's been saying Iran is the harbor of terror for 40 years. He's been saying that ever since he was in power, but he's been saying it his whole life. So, not really sure if I'm on board with that one, Mr. Patrick. Not really sure if that one is convincing me. I mean, this is the same guy here. Let us not forget. Let me show you guys something. Take a look at this.
If you take away the Soviet Union and its chief proxy, the PLO, international terrorism would collapse.
Obviously, we'd like to see a regime change, at least I would, in Iran, just as I would like to see in Iraq.
Czechoslovakia and East Germany and Cuba are obviously very important additional proxies.
A third nation, by the way, is Libya as well. Libya is, while no one is watching, under the cloak, is trying very rapidly to build an atomic bomb.
Supporting terrorism not only to every...
Oh, yeah. So Trump would be one of many to be impeached. I'm tripping.
Part of the Middle East.
I forgot about Clinton.
But to Venezuela. They're in cahoots with the Maduro regime.
Are there any other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon?
The answer is categorically yes.
If you take away the Soviet Union and its chief proxy, the PLO.
I mean, he's been begging for this for years. So this is the guy that puts Trump in a compromising position. Why is the bar that low? Why is the bar so low? Trump is a grown-ass man. He's 80 years old, for crying out loud. Give me a fucking break.
Guess what the president did in that moment? Trusted who?
Bibi and the intelligence.
Trusted those people.
Yep.
I didn't say Bibi because you have the meeting with. See, that's the.
What do you mean I didn't say Bibi? It's Benjamin Netanyahu. Hello, it is Bibi. It is Bibi. Bibi is one of the most extreme Israeli prime ministers ever. His predecessors were arguably not as bad as him. That's how bad he is. What do you mean it's not Bibi? It's all Bibi. He was there 7 times in Trump's ear. Excuse me? It wasn't. I'm not saying it's Bibi. Well, who was it then? Who was it? Come on. Stand on business here. Let's not be silly. And I get it. PBD hates Islam. I get it. He thinks that Israel is a democracy in the Middle East. I know his framework. And I don't even want to fight about that because, of course, I disagree, but it's like, whatever. You're just too far gone there. But now this is beyond the pale. This is too retarded. We've now reversed the IQ so far to the point where it needs to be met with some condemnation.
The part that's a little bit manipulative when people say that, Vinny. I have a meeting with Bibi. I have a meeting with Putin. I have a meeting with Xi. Yeah. And then I come back and I say, what do you think about what Bibi said? And I ask you, you're the final thought, not Bibi.
Right. Yes.
I don't know if you know what I'm saying.
100%. Yeah.
This is Bibi. My next meeting is Rubio. What do you think?
Yeah.
So then Rubio says, Pat, we can't do 2 out of the 4. But at the end of the day, he called the shots. And what's the shots? All right. Because I would ask the question, what percentage do you think this is going to be a 2 to 4 week operation? Mr. President, 80%. And he called the shots.
Yeah, but again, U.S. intelligence was telling him something completely different. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows U.S. intelligence was telling the president, look, if you start this war, it ain't going to be fast. So you're going to listen to Israeli intelligence that wants to drag you into a forever war like they did in the Gulf War in the first time, like they did with Iraq? I don't think so.
And then the 80% wasn't 80%. Why? One rule, and I said this to you yesterday. And here's a thing that people don't underestimate a lot. This is the biggest thing they underestimate a lot, Vinny. And I really didn't want to go on a 20-minute message with you guys, 10-minute, whatever I'm doing, because I want us to go to other stories. Is the following. One of the greatest quotes ever told in Formula One is, I knew I was going to beat him. because he has wife and kids. I knew I was going to beat him because he had wife and kids. What's he trying to say? He's not going to go full speed on the turn. He's not going to go full throttle on the turn because he knows what the risk is of dying. And in that moment, it's like 1/10 of a second. This is the quote. Look at this. I knew he would hit the brakes because he is married and he has 2 children, and I don't. And I don't. Iran is that. The IRGC is a different religion than ours.
Okay, Patrick. Then where was this 6 weeks ago? Where was this? Where what? Now it's too late. Now it's too late. Now we're in a war we actually cannot exit out of. There is no political off-ramp. And if there is, the United States lost. So where was this 6 weeks? I mean, this is inadvertently him admitting he was wrong, because this was not the rhetoric 2-3 weeks ago. The rhetoric 2-3 weeks ago was, we'll get in there, we'll hit them hard. I think this is a good idea. I think the IRGC is powerful, but we can take them on. This was not the rhetoric of 4 or 5 weeks ago. Vindication is sweet, but unfortunately, under these circumstances, I really don't know if that's a responsible thing to say, because the United States is in a very, very bad position right now. Very bad position. And soon, the global prices will be for oil.
They don't look at that the same way we do it. They don't look at the religion the way we do it.
This is probably the most indirect apology I've ever seen.
They look at it as this is a pride.
Yes, they're crazy, suicidal Shia clerics. Yeah, like Marco Rubio said. Yes, they're Muslims. Yes, jihad is their way. Fighting in the cause of God. That's what they live by. That's what they die by. Hello, we've been in the Middle East for 20 years. Hello, did you not get that? In Iraq, in Afghanistan, the Taliban was whooping our ass. Did you not get that Muslims are a different breed when it comes to warfare? Because they don't fear death whatsoever. They glorify it. Iran is more responsible for the glorification of death than Sunnis are. They really love it. That crazy martyrdom mentality, it exists far greater. It exists from a much more spiritual and powerful perspective in the Shia sect than it does in the Sunni sect. Look at Hezbollah. Look at all the proxies. Look at all the formidable foes militarily in the Middle East. They're all Shia. Yeah, no shit, this wasn't going to be easy. These are not people to be fucked with. And then you've got the support of Russia and China strategically. Russian intelligence go-aheads, Chinese radar systems, in-home missiles program that's some of the best in the world. One of the best, not the best, but one of the best. All they're missing is really intercontinental. Everything else is there. You know, you factor all that in, and you would think, this is a bad idea. And you're doing it now, but hey, you're doing it now because it's been shown to you that this is a bad idea. I've been saying since January that this is a horrible idea. I've been saying this, and I said it would have to be boots on ground. Go back in my YouTube channel. You'll find it. And by the way, I'm not giving myself credit for saying I knew this, but if you didn't have this prediction, you're pretty stupid. Hey, to predict that the Iran war would be a catastrophe is really setting the bar low. Everybody knew this would be a bad idea. And if you didn't, you should really reconsider how you view the world and your knowledge on geopolitics as a whole. You really should. And you should invest in the fact that your biases may be limiting you from the truth. Because anybody who has half a brain knew this was a bad idea. Anybody. It wasn't even hard. Yeah, the earlier you go back to 2019, 2018, 2017, somebody predicting this is an expert. But in January, when this war was obviously imminent, and then February, and we knew it was about to start, if you were on the wrong side then it's over for you. Because it's never been easier to be right. It's never been easier. With the Iraq war, you had the motivation of 9/11. You had Saddam Hussein invading Kuwait. You had the whole brand new, fresh idea of Islamic terrorism, war on terror, and so whatever. I suppose I'm gracious there. But with this war, you haven't learned from the past, clearly. This is the easiest thing to discern right from wrong on. If you can't do it here, you can never do it. And that's why I tweeted the other day. I said, anybody who's still MAGA, run. Run. If you follow somebody and they're still supporting Trump, run the other fucking way. because that person is an idiot. An idiot. And I'm not saying attack Trump. That's not what I'm asking for. However, I am saying there should be no sort of grace to such an action. Trump's actions here should receive the full condemnation they deserve. Look at where we are. Me and my brother just spoke about it for the last 2 hours. The United States is in one of the biggest pickles it's been in recent history. Donald Trump is now facing impeachment, something that's incredibly rare in U.S. history, because he couldn't make the right decision that the past 4 or 5 presidents made, which was don't bomb Iran. That's beyond the pale. That's the red line. Don't touch Iran. You want to fuck with Iraq? You did it. You want to fuck with Afghanistan? You could do it, because those are fractured, weak countries with little military advancement. And so doing it there still hurt us, but at least the price wasn't that heavy. Now the toll is catastrophic because oil is at $100 right now, and it's been sitting there. And the experts are saying it's going to go up. So yeah, we have a little ceasefire right now. That's on purpose. That's to fix that problem that we cannot control long term. It ain't hard to get this right. It ain't hard. So the bar is low. You get me? The bar is low for this war. If somebody can't even get on the right side of this, run the fuck away. I mean, Megyn Kelly is getting this right. Alex Jones is getting this right. Patrick Bet-David can do the same thing. And that's not to discredit those people, but that's to say they never really understood, or I should rather say addressed the Israel question head on like other people have. And so for them, I can understand how it was a little bit more difficult to see this. But even them now have taken the right side. So if anybody at this point is still on the wrong side, Lord, I tell you, that's really a stupid person. Really a stupid person.
IRGC if I get killed. This is pride. My prophet's going to be happy with me. He's going to be pleased with me. So what happens when you face an enemy like that? You can't fight him in a Venezuela way, because Venezuela is still a Catholic country. What do
Oh my God, is he? Oh my God. Did he just do that? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I know you guys just saw what he did there. No, he didn't. Oh my God, I got to play that back if you missed it.
You can't fight him in a Venezuela way, because Venezuela is still a Catholic country. What do Catholics believe in? There is still that, you know how he took a shot at Christians today. He's like, I don't know how you guys would ever, if this guy accepted Jesus Christ. And it's like, it is a very logical argument for a person to say, you're right. What do you say to that? But that's what makes Christianity so beautiful. But in moments...
No, he's not doing this. There's no way, bro. How did we get here? Oh, my God. Nah, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. Okay, so just walk with me here. So it's not that they have the best missiles program in the Middle East. It's not that they have nuclear enrichment. It's not that they're hedging a nuke. It's not that they have a very capable military on the ground, 250,000+ members that are armed and ready to fight and well-trained. It's not that they have proxy networks across the region for their own security because Israel always tries to dethrone them. It's not because they have strategic alliances with China and Russia. It's not because they're geopolitically, or rather geostrategically located right next to the Strait of Hormuz, responsible for 20% of the world's oil supply. It's not because of the fact that they've been attacked since 1973 of existing, or 1953 when we revolted, and then we got them to change in 1979. It's not because of the fact that we've done everything to backstab them in the process of negotiations in the midst of some sort of peace talk. No, it's not that. They're Muslim. Are you serious? No. Why we toppled Venezuela so fast is because Venezuela is not strong. Hey, crazy news flash. I know this is hard to hear. We toppled Venezuela and removed Maduro in the matter of a few hours because their military is not fortified and structured to resist regime change the way Iran's is. It's got nothing to do with religion. Where the fuck did religion come from? Well, it's because you have Christianity and Catholic. So Islam, see, the thing with Islam, nigga, what? Okay, sure. You can make the argument that Muslims have the idea of jihad and martyrdom and whatever. Sure, that plays a role. And I just acknowledged that 5 minutes ago. But ultimately, the reason why this operation is failing is because Iran has been systematically and categorically preparing for it from a military standpoint for the last 20 years. And they've been able to watch all of their neighbors get toppled right next to them and do close-up homework and know what they need to do to make sure they're not next. So them owning all of the assets I just listed guaranteed that they could exist. And it's effectively done that as of proof the last 40 days we've been at war with them. Are you kidding me? Catholicism, Christianity. What? Where did that come from? That was out of left field. That was totally irrelevant to the conversation. When did theology... And look, I have no problem getting into theology, but like, why are you making a moral argument for the fact that we were... So this is what he's saying. Christians are soft, so we can fuck with their country, but Muslims are crazy, so we can't fuck with their country. You're like inadvertently giving Muslims credit. Yeah, Muslims get fatwas and they arm up, nigga. Okay, so why are you disservicing or really kind of voicing some discontempt for your religion? Are you insecure that Christianity doesn't have the same military advances that Islam does? What is the point? And this is his point, not mine. I never said this, but that's what I'm taking from what he's saying. Oh, they're Catholic, so we were able to change the regime real easy. Huh? What are you saying? No, it's because their military was not fortified. It's because they don't have a country of mountains. What the fuck? Their terrain is not like Iran's. Actually, Venezuela's terrain is kind of similar, but not even close. Iran is way worse. We struggled to receive that pilot who got shot out of that F-15 because of the fact that there's fucking mountains everywhere. We were lucky to find him. I'm not trying to crash out. I mean, I just did kind of have a really big cortisol spike, but it's like the religious involvement. Dude, way to show how dense you are. Way to show you don't understand the topic. Way to just say you're wrong. Just say you're wrong. Just say you're wrong. You know? You don't like Muslims? Fine. You hate Islam? Fine. I don't care. But the whole, oh, well, Iran is because they want to die for their prophet, and Venezuela, they're Catholic. So if they're Christian, huh? What are you saying? What's the point you're trying to make? Holy cope. Holy cope. Hey, will you admit we're losing and you were wrong? That's what I want to hear. Holy cope. I did not anticipate this cortisol spike. I mean, I thought that he would be bad. And so there was some concession in the beginning of the segment where he was like, you know, look, this conflict ending up blowing up in our face. And, you know, this is a bad idea. This is crazy. This is crazy. Patrick, what are we doing, man?
It's like this, Vinny. If I ever had a job like this, and if I'm going through an enemy that I believe he wants to kill my people, my hat, I'm not even kidding with you, in that moment, and I can go to hell for this, but I understand in that moment as the world leader, I have to take off the Christian hat for a month and be a warrior.
Okay, so when Trump goes on Truth Social and says, we're going to end a whole civilization tonight, that's taking the hat off? Hey, when Trump bombs a school and kills 180 school girls and children and boys, by the way, that's taking the hat off? When Trump kills 2,000 plus civilians for a country that never threatened us, that doesn't have missile capabilities to even reach our soil, that's taking the hat off? What are you saying? Oh, this is the justification for Christians to act like Muslims now. No, forget religion. War is war. When it's necessary, it's exercised. And when it's not, we don't do it, especially when it serves the benefit of Israel. You see how easily I can explain that because I'm not stepping around the truth? You know, it's a beautiful thing when you're speaking from the truth. When you have the truth on your side, it's easy to explain things. Ryad, how do you explain that so well? No, I don't. It's just easy because it's true. It's true. When things are true, they sound better. Lies are always going to have issues riddled within them. And only the smartest people can make a lie sound good, but even then you can see through it if you're not half a dumbass. So, top to bottom, that was painful. That was a painful segment. I don't even know what he was trying to insinuate at the end there. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Cut me a break. Cut me a break. What are we talking about? Anyways, Anyways, let's read some chats after my crash out, unplanned crash out. Okay. Bendover says, all right, very funny with the name. Have you heard North Korea gave Iran 2,000 missiles, very advanced and deadly missiles? A deal was made with the U.S. and didn't even know. A deal was made in the U.S. did not even know. I didn't know that. If that's the case, I didn't know. Jadi ZM says, Ryad, are boots on ground in Iran inevitable as of today? Yeah, it's gonna have to be a necessary step. Because like I said, Iran is not going to do anything to actually meet our goals while this administration is in power. They're not going to concede, not with Trump in office. Trump has forfeited all of his good faith capability. They're not going to do it with him in office. So we may have to just take that step. May not happen this week or next week, but that's eventually going to be a reality. Unless we pull out. But I don't think we will. Christopher Fox 8955. Hey Ryad, you and Myron helped further change my mind on Middle Eastern affairs. As a Christian, Ziles are far worse to Christians than radical Islam. Hey bro, thank you so much. If only they knew. If only they knew. You know, if only they knew, bro. So it is what it is. Let's see. And thank you, Christopher. PBD doesn't understand Christianity. Psalms 3:7. Psalm 3:7? What does that verse read? Arise, Lord, deliver me, my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked. Yeah. Look, bro, I don't want to I know I just kind of attacked him. And who am I, right? I don't have an audience like that, but I can't watch that and just not be vicious back, because it was one thing when you were talking about it politically and diplomatically. Now it's like Islam, Christianity. And people think like, oh, he's hit a nerve because you're a Muslim. No, I actually don't care. No, actually, if you've been watching me and you've been paying attention, you know that like the anti-Islam rhetoric, I'm like an Iron Dome, nigga. I'm like Israel's air defense system. You can't get to me with the anti-Islam shit. Like all the people who talk about the prophet this, Islam that, I'm Iron Dome on that shit. I don't care. That shit doesn't bother me because it's all slop attempt to provoke you. It's all just to get a reaction out of you. The Laura Loomers, the Jake Langs, it's like, dude, this shit is kiddie games. I don't ever pay attention to that. But this is him trying to like cope with the idea that like Christianity has to stoop to the lower level of Islam to beat Islam. It's like, no, we just made a bad decision and we're serving Israeli interests and we're losing. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So this whole idea that like we have to like stoop lower and it just I was taken aback. I didn't think he'd go that far. But look, these are the lengths you have to go to defend something you're very wrong on. It's a beautiful thing. When you're wrong and you have to defend being wrong, you end up becoming more wrong. If you're wrong and you concede, then it's done. You've extinguished the fire. But if that fire becomes growing, if that fire grows in its size and its damage, it's because you never had the manlyhood or really the ability to drop your ego for a moment to put out that fire. So when you're wrong, just admit in your footsteps that you're wrong. And I've done that before. I've gotten facts wrong, and I'll tell you guys, oh, that was wrong. Done that on stream before. But, you know, when you try to carry the lie, you're going to carry it to hell. You're just going to carry it to your own doom. Because in the end, you're going to look even more wrong than you were before. If you're wrong, you realize you're wrong, you say, hey, made a mistake, my bad, guys, don't want to hurt my own credibility. People actually will increase their perception of your credibility in their minds because you were able to concede on being wrong. But you try to carry it, man, you're just going to carry it to a fire. That's going to consume your credibility. And that's what Patrick Bet-David has done. His views are down. People are shitting on him. Then you got Adam going on Piers Morgan looking like a dumbass. It's just like the double whammy. And I don't want to hear people say, oh, well, you know, PBD has Adam. And so, no, it takes two to tango. Fuck that. It takes two to tango. Adam wants to say shit. Patrick Bet-David needs to nip it in the fucking bud like he did the other day. But he needs to keep it up. And that means admitting this war is no longer conventional or beneficial for the United States. It never was. But for his framework, at least you can say, I no longer agree that this is working. This has gone too far. For my framework, it should have never happened. But for you, you should say it's gone too far. We can meet here. And by we, I mean the America Firsters, the people who actually don't want this country to be hijacked. You can meet them in the middle if you admit you were wrong. And that's what makes people speculate. Is there foreign money in these people's pockets? A lot of these guys are getting this shit so wrong. And this is my tweet where I crashed out. And I know I'm new in the space, but I can't bear it. You know, so I tweeted this. I said, I'm very thankful for one aspect of this conflict so far. These idiots have truly exposed themselves. Some of these big names are to never be taken seriously again. They were all silent during the chaos, meaning the war. Now they come out celebrating after the ceasefire. Exactly why are you celebrating? Because we temporarily bandaged an issue that we started for Israel? Not to add, Trump has been making empty threats like a madman. Are we already forgetting? And if you don't understand what I mean by that, he cannot use brinksmanship anymore. His threats are empty. So now, previously, if he made a threat, it actually meant something. Now we know it's bullshit. I continue on and I say, anyone considering this a win for Trump is an imbecile. If you need an explanation as to why, then that's a tell in and of itself of your stupidity. Keep coping. So, that's it. It's that simple, man. That's that simple. And people think, oh, I'm going to get grouped in with the left if I hate on Trump. No, you're not. Just say Trump made a mistake. That's it. Because he's dragging our country into turmoil. We're about to enter hell. The least you could do is be on the right side of history. And a lot of people can't even exercise that ability. So, it is what it is. After Hours is going to start soon, but I want to segue. Did you guys see this? I know I don't talk about red pill shit a lot. I saw this on TikTok, actually. Big TikTok guy, you know. And this is really like, yo, bro. I know this is a crazy segue, but I'm done talking about war and politics for now. So we'll give that a rest.
Have a Super Bowl.
No.
Look at this, bro.
Have a Super.
I know this is like kind of a little red pill, but you gotta see this. Okay. Little war break. Now we're gonna have slop time. All right. So no more political maxing, no more jester max, no more political grift. I just want you guys to see this.
No, I did things in
And by the way, this is like every wife in the world.
No, I did things in Miami I haven't even told my husband because it's just I had that much fun. It was well, not like that, but like I knew he would he would judge the kind of partying I was doing. I don't know what got into me. I just remember being.
Did you hear that, or did I'll play it back.
Have a Super Bowl.
No, I did things in Miami I haven't even told my husband because it's just I had that much fun. It was well, not like that, but like I knew he would judge. He would.
I did things in Miami I wouldn't even tell my husband about. What does that mean? Instant divorce, no questions asked. I'm sorry. You did things in Miami. And this is what I'm saying, bro. I know I don't do this a lot, but like, if you're a guy in here, because I have a little bit more of a younger crowd than my brother does, and so I think this will hit home or reach home with a lot of you. If you have a girl, and I know the Ryad is controversial. If you have a girl, and she says, hey, babe, I'm going to Miami for the weekend. Hey, bro, I don't know why this is even controversial for me to say. You should, I'll say this diplomatically, exercise your right to leave the relationship. Nigga, don't give me any of the, but she's going with her. The only time I'd say it's acceptable is if she's going with like family. And even then you're still at risk. But if she's going with family, whatever. But if she's going to a city like Miami or Nashville or Austin with her friends, especially during spring break. Remember, this one told on herself. And this is Diana Rossini. I think she is a NFL sports journalist. I don't watch sports. She probably interviews the players after games. I don't know, something like that. But I mean, bro, she says, I wouldn't even tell my husband the things I did in Miami. What are you alluding to? What are you alluding to? Oh, yeah, I just laid down in bed with this girl for 8 or 9 hours overnight, locked the door, but I won't tell you what we did. Huh? What? And, you know, this might seem like a one-off kind of instance to you. This is genuinely common. Hey, I still like, I don't know if I should say this. I still like have a normal job. I still deal with like people who aren't online and looking at these things and whatever. Maybe you're captivated by the manosphere. You got to exercise some sort of ego sometimes, man. You got to have some pride. You got to have some protective jealousy. Whatever happened to protective jealousy? Hey, babe, I'm going on a weekend trip with my girls. All of them are single. No, I'm not comfortable with you doing that. Oh, well, you're just insecure. All right, and you're single. And that's it. That's all the conversation really needs to go to in terms of extremity. There does not need to be an argument about it. But if you don't, and the reason I say that is because if you don't exercise the ability to tell your significant other, I'm not comfortable with you doing that, well, then they'll probably turn around on national television and say this.
No. I did things in Miami I haven't even told my husband because it's just, I had that much fun. It was, well, not.
Where's her husband right now? Hey, Mayday, Mayday. Mayday, call her fucking husband. Somebody call that nigga. Send him this clip right now. And this is like public cuck ritual. This is like a humiliation ritual. Nigga, you don't got to go through this. And this is why I tell all my boys, I'm Muslim, so, you know, like, Muslims, I hope my belly didn't just come out. Crop top, pause. I'm Muslim, so, you know, and I'm Arab, I guess. From an Arabic-speaking country, but a lot of my friends are Arab, so I just say that for all intensive purposes. And so a lot of them get married at a young age, and a lot of my boys are taking that step to hopefully get married, and inshallah that happens for them, good for them. And the young Christians out there, you know, get married, especially inside the church, but I'm not saying don't get married. I'm saying I ain't gonna get married, nigga. Not no time soon. Because I went to college for 4 years. I dormed on campus, okay? You know, I worked on campus. I worked with thousands of students. I went to high school here. I went to middle school here. I have a normal job here in this country. And like I can tell you, bro, I don't know if it's in my best interest to actually get into a long-term relationship. Nevertheless, get married right now. Because this will probably happen to me. And by the way, she's just telling on herself. How many girls can say this but wouldn't say it on public television because they're not as dumb as she is? She said this on national TV, so thanks for that. She's dumb. But how many girls can express the same sentiment privately? Probably a lot. You niggas just don't know. But it's more than half of them are probably echoing the same things in closed rooms. Behind closed doors, you can bet that me, yeah, likely you. So, hey, bro, for me, marriage is off the table for a long time. And when I get married, I'm just going to understand that, like, that's it. My girl's going. And that's what it is. And it's not about like, oh, there's no good girls left. It's that the society we live in is guaranteed to corrupt a good girl. You know, that's really the issue. That's the underlying factor that's going to guarantee every guy gets cooked at some point in his career and his life of dating, is because the society we live in calls for this rhetoric. It calls for this behavior. It'd be one thing if we lived in a society where she'd be reprimanded for that. But aside from some, you know, offset TikTok comments and Instagram comments that are unhinged by men my age, these things are encouraged. And there's positivity expressed for such actions and rhetoric. And so, to me, if that's the landscape that I'm playing in, if that's what I have to navigate in terms of dating marketplace, I'm going to push back my marriage until I'm ready to deal with such a consequence, which could be this happening to me. Oh, but Ryad, you got to find a good girl. And we'll do what? Lock her in a cage? She's going to have a life. And the society we live in encourages this behavior. So I'm terrified. And shit like this is very normal. People think that it's, you know, one off, and no, this is more often than you think, you know. So it's not and I don't mean to be crude, right? But if you know that this is a reality that you likely may have to face as a man, then it's not about being negative. It's about accepting that and knowing that when it happens, you'll be more prepared than the guy who's not ready. I mean, who's really going to get knocked out? The guy who sees the punch coming and kind of rolls with it, or the guy who has no idea it's coming, an uppercut up the middle, right? Obviously, the guy who doesn't see the punch coming, he's going to sleep. If you're ready for society to corrupt your partner and make her do something, whatever, right? Then in that case, you might be able to walk away from that with some scars, some wounds, but bandage it up and keep pushing, you know? But, you know, you're getting down in Call of Duty Zombies, but you'll get revived. But like, if you are not aware of this, if you are completely blind, if you're that conceited to the point where you think that this could never happen to you and it's only these girls and it's only, you are viciously mistaken. Viciously mistaken. Because I understand infidelity is something that happens on both sides. But hey, newsflash, when a guy does it, it's because he's a guy and he's horny. When a girl does it, there's a lot of other underlying factors that guarantees she's not yours anymore. That's like basic math. So somebody says, are you Muslim? Yeah, I'm Muslim. But that don't change none, bro. Even if you're Muslim, you can't avoid this. This is the harsh reality of the dating marketplace that we have to operate in, you know? So it's tough, man. But if you're aware of it, you can, you know, you can kind of, you can see the punch coming. And that's what I see with a lot of guys. Sorry, I got a text. That's what I see with a lot of guys. You know, you see all these men in their 30s and their 40s, and they're absolutely destroyed by divorce. And I notice most of the time it's because they never set up the necessary preparations to give them a cushion when that happens. You know, these are the guys that thinks that things will never, you know, break off. That's why a prenup is important, because a prenup is subconsciously and psychologically an acknowledgement that, hey, we're both humans. Things may not work, and that's totally fine. And for you as a guy, you need to understand on the back end as well, my girl may be going, and that's totally fine. I live with that reality, and if it happens, I'm well equipped to deal with the ramifications and repercussions. That's it. But no, it's the guys that think it's Disney and shit. It's the guys that think everything is sweet. It's all rainbows and Tootsie Pops. And then something like this happens to them. I'll give it to you. National television is crazy, but something catastrophic happens to them. And now they're distraught. Now they're at the bar every day. Now they're losing weight. Now they're losing money. And I get it. The divorce hurts them as well. But again, if you are ready for this, if you understand this is forthcoming as a reality more often than not, well, then you'll have the things in the right places to deal with such a consequence, or really such a catastrophe. You know, so, and this is not a rip on women. That's not what I'm doing, but I'm just giving the men advice, because I know a lot of younger guys watch me. I got a lot of young guys DMing me who are like 17, 18. So hopefully that hits home for the right people, because all these young guys DM me, chatted my stories on Instagram. They're like, yo, go live. That shit's crazy. I'll post some shit on Instagram, like, and niggas will just chat it like, yo, bro, we don't care about this. Go live. I'm like, all right, bro, my bad. Let me tap dance for you. Nah, but I get it. You know, I posted an Instagram story. I posted a pump picture, right? I'm always posting. If you follow me on Instagram, it's RyadF __. If you follow me on Instagram, you could see, you know, I post like all these gym photos and stuff, and niggas will chat it and they'll be like, you know, they won't compliment me, nothing. They'll just be like, yo, bro, are you live tonight? I'm bored. It's like, all right, what am I, shit off the bottom of the ground? Like, damn, nigga, can you say, hey, Ryad, like, what the hell? Like, bro, go live. It's like, all right, bro, can you say, hey, what's up, Ryad? Love your stuff, bro. And I'm not saying I'm asking for glaze, but it's like, what the fuck? So I think that's funny. But yeah, anyways, guys, Fresh and Fit is about to start, you know, so I thought I'd have some fun at the end of the stream. Yeah, you want to check out my Instagram? It's right here. Plug my shit, nigga. Real nigga plugging his shit. So, oops. So this is my clips page. Follow this. If you don't have time to watch the streams, totally understood, but you can get some good clips. Shout out to my guy Halimi for making that. And then this is my actual Instagram, RyadF _. And so, like, I'll post something like this, right? Posted this today. And niggas will, by the way, 200 pounds, pretty lean, 6'2", 6'1". Anyways, so I post that and niggas just chatting. They're like, yo, bro. Yeah, I'll literally post like something super sentimental. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Just lost my dog. Neither of those are actually things I would post, but I'll post something kind of close to home. Hey, bro, go live, bro. I'm bored as hell, bro. Hey, bro, your brother's live. What the fuck are you doing? I had somebody chat. Your brother's live. What are you doing, bum ass nigga? I'm like, all right, what the fuck? What the fuck? Crazy. But yeah, follow me on the gram. Follow me on X as well. My X is literally just Ryad's report. Follow me on there. It's all linked in my YouTube bio. So if you want to get a quick link, just go in the description of my videos or go in my YouTube bio and you'll find it. But yeah, I got to get to bed. I got to get up, get a haircut tomorrow. I will probably be live tomorrow at night or really towards the evening because, of course, we're going to have to break down what happens with these peace talks between J.D. Vance, Stephen Witkoff, and Jared Kushner. So check that out. And chat loves this. Someone said, this ain't Tinder. No one needs your body stats. What? Let me show off a little bit. Go live. Your brother's about to get on live. Go live. I'm live, bro. What are you talking about? Normie Ryad W. Yeah, I'm still a normie, bro. I still have a normal life. But we're going to move. Yo, so the stream is going to get a lot better. We're going to get into a new apartment, God willing. I believe the lease is on its way, so I'm going to sign it. Going to be a nice high-rise apartment. You're going to have a nice view in the back. No more bedroom. And so we'll set up the lights. It's going to be fire. I think you guys will really, really love it. That's coming in June. So expect a new setup in June. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do it. I am going to... Hair looks good? Really? I need a haircut. I got to get one tomorrow. It's getting rough. You know? So I get one once a week. I'm on top of the looks, man. What do you guys think? Should I shave the beard? I've kept it and I've had it for a while.
We are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Freshman Podcast.
All right, my brother's live. So I'll jump off in a second. Let's go. But I've kept the beard since like Ramadan. And like I'm not going to lie, it's kind of haram to shave the beard. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'll probably keep it. But I had a goatee and it was low-key like cute. Not going to lie. The goatee was kind of like beastie. But I think the beard is all right. It's just like, here's the thing, bro. I'm really dark and I'm tall. Not that tall, but I'm like 6'1", 6'2". So I'm already like kind of scary looking. You know what I mean? Like I'm already like kind of like, you know, big black on YouTube. Big black guy. So like the beard, I feel like just makes that worse. You know, so maybe I feel like I need to disarm myself and just have the mustache and the chin hair. So maybe I'll shave it. Anyways, I'm just riffing. Yeah, what else do you guys want to know? Just cleaned my room. Actually, I organized all my shoes, organized all my clothes, which is so annoying. Sometimes I wish I lived with mom. Miss my mom. Love my parents. But you know what? You know what benefit? If you guys still live with your mom, yo, I'll come home from work. This is when I lived at home. I'll come home from work. My mom organized my closet, my drawer. But the problem is she puts shit in places I can never find it. The favorite t-shirt that I wear every day, oh yeah, it's in the attic now on some dusty ass shelf. Hey mom, where's my socks? Oh, it's in the freezer. Like, don't moms, when they organize your room, they just misplace shit. Bro, your mom organizes your room, now your favorite shirt is in the attic. Now your socks are in the fridge. Now your shoes are in the garage, detached from the house. And you're like, why'd you put that there? And she's like, well, it made more sense. It's like, no, it didn't. But yeah, I hate doing laundry, man. My mom used to do all my laundry. Yeah. Living alone is kind of gay. Kind of sucks. Because it's cool, you're independent, but man, moms relieve a lot of pressure off of you. Anyways, all right, guys. What am I talking about? Love you guys. I will be back likely tomorrow. My brother is currently live on FNF, so go check him out. And did I miss any chats? Oops, sorry. I am Z. Why can't I read right now? Z786, $10. Thank you. Bro, what socials do you respond to? DMs. I try to respond on Instagram. Bro, I've gotten like hundreds of DMs. Like, so many people have DM'd me, not even people who have followed me, so it's hard for me to see all of them. I try to respond, but I get so many. And by the way, a lot of haters too. Like, it's not just love, it's a lot of haters. So, but anyways. All right. Hey, Desert Joe, what's up? God bless you, bro. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Go check out After Hours. Go watch my brother Cortisol Spike for free because the girls are guaranteed to say something stupid. And I will likely be on tomorrow, worst case scenario Sunday, but there will be some good developments, hopefully, God willing, tomorrow. Christian says, do you think the ceasefire talks will actually lead to a resolution, or will the war continue? Great content, Ryad. You're super intelligent, man. God bless you. Thank you so much. And I don't think that they will lead to anything fruitful in the long term. I'll say that. I don't think we'll gain anything long term from it that will be fruitful. Maybe short-lived peace, maybe short-lived ceasefire, but as long as Israel's there, man, Iran's got to fall. All right, guys. Love you. Peace out later.